And welcome back
Hello.
to another tale from Miniry Village. My name is Thomas, and I'm your narrator for this evening. And these are my amazing players. Say hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hi, guys.
If you're only joining us for the first time, you're a bit ahead of things. There's a lot that's happened. Let's see. But most recently, a terrible storm has racked the village of Miniry, and it has prevented heroes of the action committee from really going about and doing much that they need to get done, most notably establish contact with many of the settlements around the village to make sure everybody can coexist and everything can be nice. But many wrenches keep getting thrown into that particular piece of work. Most recently, I believe Rami and Val had a very intense conversation where Rami Val gave quite a lot away about her life in Jarzon and about the fact that she is not an ordained priest, just somebody who does it because people it is expected of her. Rami attempted to break into the tunneling project happening just outside of Miniry's borders and was ultimately unsuccessful. I'm very sorry, Debbie, that it didn't go your way. Foiled by a lock at the last hurdle. Couldn't quite get the info you're after.
I even broke a shoe for it.
Yes. Yes, that is information you're trying to get for a mysterious figure known as Bates, who you are channeling information to for reasons we will maybe find out more about soon. Blue, our lovely Raiden Raiden friend, is hanging out in his tree fortress that he just created using his incredibly impressive arcane powers. And Micah, the night person outsider to this village, recently went on something called a Varakita, which was a meeting between the royalty of the Kyanite Kingdom, where she is from, where they decided that they would be establishing something called a Haven Stone, which means that they're people who typically migrate and try to keep moving, have decided they're finally going to settle down roots. And yeah. Oh, also Micah has a big hot date coming up.
Oh,
She
when did that
does?
happen?
Yeah.
Yeah, remember?
Yeah, but I didn't think it was okay. Alright, cool.
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 So, diving back in, it is the last day of the major storm that is causing much delay and turbulence to the area. Blue, thanks to your connection with nature, you do know that this is going to be the last day of the truly worst part of it. There are many other things on your lists that you need to get done, but for now, given that you all have a bit of time, what would you all like to go about during this day?
Okay, so I need to drop off my "man, I need an excuse for when Jules comes here" article, and I guess I can explain what I'm doing with that one, and explain the angle I'm taking with this new article. So when I lived where the town is with the library, I am going to leave that redacted because I didn't name any towns I lived in my backstory. So we'll just pretend it has a name. So when I lived there, there was this strange rich kid man who just would show up and went around to anyone who was I always say it wrong, the Fire Vada, and it would be like, "Are you my dead friend Fiona?" And it was a scary thing, and he traveled to different cities all the time looking for Fiona. And it was a scary encounter I had, but I also feel bad and don't want to completely destroy Jules' life. So I'm also going to play up like the tragedy in it and like, oh, how sad it is, and like that he's still mourning after this person and losing them, and look at how sad that is. So it's not like when people see him, they're going to immediately be like, "Ew, creepy stalker." They're just going to be like, "That's kind of sad, and maybe don't talk to Rami." That's my...
So this is probably one of the first sort of the most biographical of the articles you've ever put out, because they usually focus on other people, and now you are squarely putting the spotlight on yourself to say, "Hey, here's a fun fact from my past. There's this creepy man who nobody should talk to."
It's a follow-up to my "Why I Hate Libraries" article.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay.
And one question is, does Jules go by Jules to everyone, or is that just like a name?
No, that was
Okay.
definitely he and Fiona.
Okay, cool. Then I definitely use his full name, which is...
His full name is Julian. What is it?
I don't use the last name though. That way, I'm not destroying this guy's life. He has
Okay,
plausible
it's Estani.
He has plausible deniability.
Okay. Beautiful. Okay, so you're working hard on that article. What about anybody else? Actually, one thing I should say is, Val, when you came down to start your morning routine today, you noticed that your daughter Hannah was asleep at the dining table and not in her room.
Oh, is there anything like to indicate why she was up, or?
Not that you can see, no.
Okay, I wake her up very cautiously because I don't know what she's gonna do.
At first, she just kind of rolls over and groans very loudly. And then it's as though she gets possessed at the last second because she darts up. Her hair is all in a complete
Yep,
frazzle.
that's what I was scared of. Okay.
And she looks at you.
Get smacked in the face.
And she looks at you and says, oh, Mom, is it morning?
Yeah, why are you
She
not
starts
in
getting
bed?
full of energy and starts jumping up and down. And she says, so you're gonna start the half?
Oh.
Oh.
I was thinking, because it's raining, so you said I can't do any fire shaping indoors, but it's raining, so I can't do it outdoors right now. But you need a fire for the hearth, right?
God.
Okay.
So I can start it?
Yes, very carefully.
Okay.
And, you know, I'm gonna walk her through, like, okay, like, you put the logs in this way. And
This
everything.
is the entire
just-
time. She's just like,
Oh boy. She just got a new power, and she's very excited about this. I am just a little, like, this house is very flammable. Okay. So just remember breathing,
Mhm.
textbook. All
Uh-huh.
right, let's
Mhm.
just very small, just nothing big. And okay.
and she reaches out, takes a big deep breath, and oh my goodness, she rolled a 14.
That's pretty
Hey!
And she generated 5 stun points, folks.
Oh my
Um,
god.
Oh, lethal arcana, perfect.
good. Dude, she's a Zula.
Excuse me? Oh.
No, just kidding, just kidding. Yeah, basically,
Excuse me, what are you doing to my daughter?
basically, she reaches out and very calmly and carefully ignites a spark in the logs, and that flame just slowly gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And then she even throws a bit of style on it. It starts dancing around a little to the side, to the side. She starts like making sure every single log gets appropriately lit by the flames, and just kind of does a little swirl of things. She's turning it into sort of an art project before your very eyes.
Little proud, little scared.
Yeah.
Very mixed feelings about this.
Parenthood.
Yeah. That's very good for not having a lot of practice. That's very, very good.
And then she looks at you, and the fires start to die down, almost into nothing, and then sputter out.
Wait, so nothing stayed lit?
Not a thing stayed lit. And she looks at you like, oh no, I have to do it again. And just immediately
Oh.
relights the fire again.
Never mind, I understand.
And that time it grows
now.
a little bit too big, so she like carefully reduces it again. Yeah, and she just kind of keeps making sure it is all there.
Okay.
And she's not really stopping.
You know, if you keep going for too long, you're going to exhaust yourself.
She looks at you and she says, "But I just woke up. It's early in the morning. I'm fine."
With magic, it doesn't really matter what time of the day it is. If you just woke up, sometimes it'll just hit you after you use that type of energy. So you
That
need
does
to
bring
be
up-
careful.
Sorry to interrupt. That does bring a very good point. She needs to roll a fatigue test.
Yes.
She's okay for now. But yeah, she kind of she looks at you and just says, "Yeah, I understand. I know.
Mhm.
I just is there anything else? Do you need the stove or is there some lamps I can light or?"
I think this is it for right now. But
Just a candle? Please.
we can go out on the porch and you can practice lighting some candles.
The second you say it, she's like, yes, and just darts away from you. And you can feel just the wind in your face from her sprinting away.
Oh boy, I'm just gonna take, like, the minute that she's outside, I'm just gonna take a breather and just stay calm. Just not freak out about this. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna make breakfast as quickly as possible, and then I'm just gonna keep, like, an eagle eye on her, like, as she is semi-outside practicing this
Make
throughout
a
the morning.
perception test.
Oh, I gotta get to the right page.
While you're doing that, Micah, what's going on with you today?
I guess if it's still raining terribly inside,
It is.
probably just like hang out in the guardhouse, filling out some paperwork, or I don't know what else this job entails, so probably paperwork. It
There's
takes her a long
almost no paperwork in this small village town.
time. To be fair, it takes her a long time because she like writes something and then the pencil just like goes through the page like every time. And she's like, I hate this.
The leads are so feeble compared to your mighty strength. You've gone through so many pencils. You've kind of gotten used to it from yesterday. There's just the occasional, when the shifts change, some guards walk in completely drenched from head to toe, and they just like slowly and methodically take off their sort of padded armor, wring everything out, just leaving a big old puddle on the ground, and then sort of nudge awake the next people who need to go, and this kind of process continues throughout the day. Was there a plan today for any more training or anything, or is it going to be a fairly light, easygoing day?
No, probably not. She's just like, everyone's really soaking wet. There's no caves, so you can just hide under for a while. So yeah, so just like no extra training.
I think there's definitely a moment where you're doing some paperwork and you finally made some progress, and then a leak starts to just cover up a lot of effort that you just did. And then I think Suna shows up and she has like a helmet that she's like, I got it, Cap. Just holding it above you.
Thank you. I think I'll try to find someone to repair the roof, or I'll just stone shape another block up there to block that leak.
Okay. Are we doing anything today?
I don't think so, unless you want to spend another few hours in the soaking rain.
No. Well, I already got to get down to the smithy because we're getting a bunch of armor made for us, right?
We are. I totally
Yes.
forgot about that from last session too.
Easily done.
Yeah, and Micah's just bored as hell, and she's like, you know what? I'm coming with you because I can't stare at another sheet of paper again. I'm going to burn this town down if I do.
Well, it's better than snow, though, right? You didn't like the snow very much.
The snow at least doesn't get everywhere, and it's all wet and drippy. The snow at least you can kind of brush off.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't really like the rain either.
Weather's just a terrible idea. Whoever invented it just has to be a sorcerer. Let's go.
As you go out, she kind of like is admiring you and your armor, and you can, in your newly fashioned armor, and there's the very deafening sound of raindrops pattering on it, just that makes it very difficult for you to hear anything that Suna is saying as you're making your way to the smithy. She's just kind of indistinctly yelling into the wind. You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Wait,
Sure, yes. Why not?
she pumps a fist and you aren't sure why.
Oh no!
Let's jump over to Blue. What's going on with you today, Blue?
I suppose since we can't really travel out, and that was like most of what Blue had to do for like the council, he's pretty much just like stayed in his tree. He's kind of just battered down. He got food. He like started storing things, and he's just like in the tree. And he's like met a few other animals. They're normal animals, and he can't really make conversation with them, but they're still nice. That's cool. There's a squirrel or two. And Tessic is of course there, which is nice.
Yep.
it's not much he can do because, rain, flying, it just doesn't go together well.
Yeah, it's very unpleasant. It isn't too long before underneath the near impenetrable cover that you've created for the tree, Lutzi appears, the one of the traveling arcana specialists who are fresh in town. And he is obviously completely drenched, and he sort of looks up at the tree, takes his glasses off, which are just completely covered in water, just kind of wipes them on his robes, and he says, Blue, would now be a good time to do the anatomy sketches we were talking about?
Oh, I suppose so. Sure, yeah. Just a moment. Blue actually doesn't have to do anything. He just often hears people say just a moment before coming out, and then he flies immediately down.
So is there just a moment of Blue just sitting there, waiting?
Okay. And then he flies down.
I think in that moment, Tessa just kind of looks at you, just staring, just like, you're adopting their ways.
I think it makes them more comfortable to wait for some reason.
You're adopting their ways.
Just saying. And then he will flutter down.
Okay. You fly down to Lutzi, and he looks at you and he says, would you mind if we went somewhere a little warmer? As much as I do love this tree, it is in fact a mechanical marvel in many respects. I would prefer if we could go somewhere with a fire, if that's all right with you.
Oh, yeah, sure. I don't mind. We can go to a fire? Like, you mean like with the fireplaces, like in one of the tavern?
Yes, the tavern I was thinking.
Okay, cool. That makes sense.
Okay. So you and he travel along. Do you like travel on his shoulder or anything? Or do you just hop? Or do you just fly getting completely, buffeted by rain?
If he has like a shoulder or like an open jacket, I can just like be under that'd be fine. Or no, I don't think I can magic this away. Yeah, just on his shoulder or something.
He quickly tries to pull up, part of his robe to do his best job of covering you as you both quickly make your way to the tavern.
Yeah.
And when you arrive, basically just asks you to stand on a chair, not leg, but the bit sticking up from the chair, the back end of a chair. Yeah.
The back of a
chair.
chair.
That's literally called the back.
I am the narrator. And he takes the time to sort of run you through the kinds of things that he's hoping to see. And he asks if it's okay if he can sort of touch you and sort of arrange you in certain ways where he can really capture the sort of anatomy he's looking for to help perfect his flying machine that he's working on.
Sure. I suppose. Just don't ruffle any feathers.
He takes a moment to think. Do you know that was a very clever pun?
Right? Bird humor.
Very good. Very
Thank
good.
You.
And he just starts tearing into the various papers he has, just sketching sketch after sketch after sketch, asks you to sort of rearrange the pose a little bit, sketching more. He gets really up in your face at certain points, just sketching the fine details of how your wings work, what they look like when they're fully up above your head. He asks you to kind of fly around the room and asks you to do it as slowly as you possibly can, and you explain to him that's not really how it works.
That's not how flying works. I'll do my best, but Blue kind of he goes his normal speed, which is actually kind of fast, and I'm sorry.
Yeah, he does definitely say it's tricky with you moving so fast. If only there was a way to capture it, but this is fine. And he says to you, now, I think from what I've seen of what I've captured so far, it's given me plenty to work from for making a new edition of my flying machine. I just wonder if you knew of any, shall we call them, unusual things in the Weald from the area you're from that might also have a method of flight that is unconventional?
Unusual, like how? Because that's a very, I think relative is the word. It's a very relative term.
Have you seen any other flying creatures that aren't birds, I suppose? Always looking to innovate.
Well, there's the griffins. The griffins fly, and that's
Yes, the griffins. And they have a much higher weight than the typical bird. Very interesting. Yes, yes. He
much
starts
larger
writing a bunch of
wing.
notes. He says, larger wings, you say? Could
well,
you
yeah,
perhaps...
they're a lot bigger. So
Okay, okay. Wingspan. Of course, well, that was interesting. I don't suppose you could ever set up a meeting with one of these griffins, could you?
do I know any griffins?
Not any living griffins.
Not right. Okay. No. I'm sorry. I wouldn't be able to do that.
Shame. No worry, no worry. I just was looking to see if there were other angles I could approach this at. But as I said, I have much to work with from here. Thank you for your effort. I really do appreciate it.
No problem. Of course. Would I know any other creatures? Because he would try and be helpful as he could.
Sure.
That fly, but aren't birds.
You can make a natural law test.
Sure thing.
Always bats.
Bats, of course. Forgot about those bats.
Or, flies.
That's a
Ladybugs.
16 with 5 stunt points.
Yeah. So you just basically run through everything you've ever seen in your life. And yes, we're talking about insects. We're talking about everything we just mentioned right now. There are definitely winged creatures that you can point to that aren't just birds. But in terms of anything more mystical, beyond a griffin, no.
Unusual? Yeah, okay. Yep, that is about it. So I hope that helps. I hope that I
It helps immeasurably. Thank you very much.
I could maybe actually Do you have like wood or something? I'm a pretty good carver. I could maybe make a little model of a griffin for you. If that would be helpful.
I can find somewhere to procure some wood, I'm sure. Give me some time.
Sure thing.
And he kind of looks at the chair that you're standing on for a second and says, if you were to do something, could you make it go back?
Well, I don't think I can just like reform things. I can make things smaller, making things bigger, unless it's like a plant. So I suppose a tree, maybe, but I also wouldn't really want to carve an entire tree. That's
very understandable. Forgive my ignorance. I'm quite new to this whole thing.
No, it's fine. I'm glad to help.
And he says, maybe if I am successful, you'll be sharing the skies with the fellow two legs, as it were.
There's a lot of room up there, so. On the inside, Blue is screaming no, though.
Oh, no. Well, go ahead and take some conviction because you have been very forthright with this knowledge to this gentleman. And before kind of like he parts ways with you to go and find some wood, he says, I also need to find a place somewhere high up that I can test this machine once I have rapidly prototyped it.
Oh my god.
But I don't want to get too ahead of myself. Away we go.
Away we go.
This guy's gonna die.
So long.
There's a lot of failure leading up to Orville and Wilbur Wright. I would just like to say that right now.
This guy's gonna die.
They didn't have Blue.
They didn't have a talking bird. Right. Cool. I think Blue after that, he'd probably just stay here for a bit.
Mhm.
People watch maybe. Observe what happened to this chair in the past. Let's do some object reading. Whatever.
Oh, sure. Would you like to object read the chair?
Sure, why not? I'm sure this chair has a lovely story.
This chair was instrumental.
That's an 11. And
That unfortunately. Oh yes, I have to actually consult the table to see how well
How
your
many
object
butts have touched this chair?
Oh god.
So you get a brief and accurate vision of events. Was there any particular moment in time of this chair's, I don't want to say life cycle, its existence cycle that you were looking for?
I suppose the creation of the chair. He really likes saying the creation of things. I
Yeah,
guess.
sure. That's fine. Yeah, you know that this chair was carved. It was a beautiful sunny day. There is some burly person sitting next to a rushing stream that is flowing down the hill, and you recognize this person. It's one of the lumberjacks called Seng. And Seng is just kind of like quietly whistling to himself, carving the bits of this chair, plugging them in, and applying a layer of varnish, and then you shoot back to the present.
Oh, there you go. I should talk to Seng.
No one knows why we all just got really, really excited.
Yeah.
For context, the grumpy lumberjack was a meme within our group as we were setting up this campaign.
Yeah.
Um,
That's a good point. I was just like, they probably don't know why we're so excited.
Why we're so happy about the
Yeah.
lumberjack?
Ooh.
But that's pretty much all Blue would do. He'd just chill. after that.
So throughout the day, I think because a lot of people are finding themselves with almost nothing to do in the town during this kind of time, I think some people have naturally just flocked to hanging out at your place, Val, because it is a somewhat communal area.
I got a 12 on that perception check, by the way, so this would explain that as well.
Yeah, so you're keeping an eye on Hannah as she's like going about her craft with these candles, and very quickly you sort of smell burning wax, and you see that there are some globs here and there, and it seems like every time you turn your back, she is really going through a lot of these candles, and she doesn't have the ability to sort of unmelt them again, so you're getting a very waxy porch right now. But she's not hurting herself. She appears to be sort of in full control of what she's trying to do.
Okay.
And yes, during this time, the occasional just like influx of people, like somebody says, "Oh, hello, Val," and just kind of comes and walks and says, "Mind if I da-ba-da-ba-da," and everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sure there's like a little snack bowl that people are just kind of
Yes.
like it's communal grazing at this point.
Before long, somebody just kind of puts it to you and says, "We need more snacks."
I just refill it. At this point, I'm used to it. So I'm just like rearranging the bookshelves and everything.
Mhm.
Actually, there is one thing that I want to check.
Sure.
While everyone else is like in the living room area or whatever, I want to go back into the kitchen too. I mentioned this a long time ago, but I've been a little paranoid about it and I haven't asked. I'm going to check the cupboard where I put my journals and the necklace.
Mhm.
Is that stuff still there? Like
Everything's exactly where you left it, untouched.
Okay. Good. Okay. Yeah, I shut that and just go back about my business.
Okay.
Yeah. What is Elsar doing? Have I seen him yet today?
You haven't seen him today, no.
Okay. As long as he's not getting into trouble with all these people, so that's fine.
Great. Rami, while you are busy at work composing this article that you're working on, you feel a familiar ping in your mind and feel that the psychic contact from Bates is awaiting you.
I don't have the information yet!
Oh no. Oh no.
You're in the hot seat now.
The article, I guess I got towards the mine. I was gonna make Ricard go. I think I'm gonna make Ricard go and poke around and use him as a distraction.
Can you clarify what you mean by that exactly?
Yes. The very first time I came down to the mine, they were talking about how they were worried about there being, like, weird ghost magic
Yes,
stuff.
there's a lot of superstition surrounding the paranormal and
And I
luck.
was gonna have Ricard go in with me and check it out to make them feel better about it.
Now, Ricard has already gone with you to do this exact
No,
thing.
we didn't. We didn't do it.
I think, yeah, he has. He did it.
No,
he
that
followed
was
you into the tunnel.
No, I went with Puri.
Yeah.
To prank.
That was last session, but before that, Ricard.
No,
you had
we
to-
just talked
No.
about it. We never actually did it.
I thought you examined like the. Oh, sorry, no, I'm getting mixed up with somebody gave you a tour of the tunnel. My apologies.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
Ricard never came with you because he was like, that seems like a waste of my time.
But he told me he would. He made a promise, and I'm gonna make him keep it.
Okay.
And then I might ditch him as he stares at a rock and is distracting to other people and run to the tent.
All right. Do you want to pull off this heist right now?
Yeah, I'm gonna
Okay.
go get Ricard, because Bates...
You wrangle Ricard, who is very busy, composing some work, and he informs you along the way to the mine. Even he didn't think to grab a cloak or a hood or anything, so he's just getting completely soaked through,
I think
and his
Grammy's
beautiful hair.
perceptive enough to bring him one and expect this. She's just
Like, he's coming down the stairs, and you go into his house and like grab something and drape it over him.
No, like she just brought one of her own. She's
Oh, she
just
brought
like,
one of her own,
here you
perfect.
go. It's
Lovely.
like not his style. It's like bright blue and sparkly.
Beautiful. And he's like, the entire time, he hasn't really paid attention to why you're taking him anyway. It hasn't really kind of clicked with him that he's not still doing anything right now. But he said, I've made some amazing progress.
About what?
So with the talisman, I believe I have now 100 completely discovered its properties and its effects, and I believe I understand its origin now as well.
What's his origin, Ricard?
Its origin shares, it has runes on it that share the exact match with things I've seen Micah create. I believe this is a work of the Night People from her kingdom.
Huh? Aren't they like super against sorcery? That's weird.
From what I've heard anecdotally, that is correct, so it is very fascinating to me where this could have possibly originated from.
Also, do you know what we're doing today, Ricard, or did you just come with me?
You're kind of like going up the small slope that leads to the tunnel at this point, and you are outside the town, and he starts to kind of like look up and around, and he says, "Where are we going?"
Remember, you told me you would poke around here with me and reassure them that it's not magically haunted?
I don't remember saying I would poke around at anything, but yes, haunted, that sounds important. Let's do it.
Yes, it will. Woo! I'm so glad we're friends now.
I am very happy to call you a friend.
Oh, very sweet. I wasn't expecting, like, actual genuine kindness. I'm usually met with sarcasm no matter what I say, and then I walk in.
Okay, is it too long before you both hike up to the tunneling outpost? Like you saw yesterday, it is just the tents are mostly sealed up, apart from the communal sort of dining area tent. What would you like to do?
I'm gonna look for my friend Vay, and I'm gonna be like, hey, we talked earlier about how there was some people, right, Rami stretches out her vowels, I'm not doing it right. We talked earlier about some people, and they were worried, they had concerns about some little ghost thing. I brought Ricard here so he can just poke around and give you guys an all clear.
So there's a small assemblage of some of the miners who work here, and some of the shapers as well, and they're all, none of them are working right now because, actually no, sorry, some of them would be working because they're in a tunnel, and that doesn't really, the weather doesn't matter about that. Yeah, so the tunnel is like currently occupied by a lot of workers right now, and you do find Vay and like say this to people, and I think at this point, Vay trusts you so much where she's just like, yeah, sounds great, go ahead, we got work to get through.
All right, thank you, darling. Mwah, mwah. I just do like air kisses and then
She's like,
What? Is she dodging?
no, this is completely, she'd never experienced anything like this before.
Oh, my bad. I forget sometimes. I know.
She blushes a little bit.
And then I just drag Ricard first, and I don't know. Ricard's noticeable when he pokes at things. Hopefully he creates a big enough scene that people start, like, paying attention to him.
Yeah, well, when you go further into the tunnel, and it's lit up by a bunch of torches, there's the protrusion of the metal ore that is sticking out of the ceiling where a bunch of scaffolding has been made up to start getting at it. And you can see there's a bunch of workers there now, extracting all of this ore, putting it into pails that are being lowered down to people, and it's being taken out of the tunnel as well. Sarik is also there, just kind of overseeing everything. He's just sort of leaning at a wall, staring a bit gormlessly just at this entire process, just a bit annoyed that this is taking so long. And yeah, you can go about. Well, so you're currently in the tunnel. What you want is back at Sarik's the tent. Did you just want to duck out as you throw a Ricard bomb?
Distraction?
Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna wait a little bit. I'm gonna make it known that I'm here with Ricard, and then I might make an excuse for the bathroom and then head out. But also, if Ricard does find something weirdly magical, then my problem's done anyway, so, you know.
Yeah, I think Ricard is saying to you something along the lines of, like, do you know that Do you know why the tunneling effort is so difficult? It's because there is no knowing what lies beyond the rock, and so when you make progress, there have been many reports of people stumbling across things that have long been hidden, some since the Shadow Wars, some since before that, since the Empire of Thorns. And you find all these vestiges of things from the past just dug into various landscapes. And then he like notices somebody drops a pail of the ore and kind of spills everywhere, and everyone's like a bit worried at the moment, but everything's fine. And he looks over and he goes, fascinating. And he starts walking over to this spilled bucket of ore.
Perfect moment to duck out as they all deal with Merkar.
Make a quick stealth check.
Was it okay? I guess it's sort of stealthy. Oh, did I make him to check, or is someone else making it check? There was noises.
Just you.
Okay, I heard noise. Let's see how I do. Oh, I did great! 18 plus 6 stunts.
You fade away like a ghost. You are straight out of there. Nobody is paying attention to you at all. And in spite of your very flamboyant appearance, nobody seems to notice that there is a blur of extreme clashing colors that just exits the tunnel.
Hold on. These stunt points are going to be useful since I did not do great at any of this last time.
Yes, of course.
Okay, if your discoveries, I don't have combat, if you receive a +1 bonus to further test to examine and perceive additional aspects of the object of your test until the time of Can I use object of your attention to get a +1 to the cabinet? Because that's
Sure.
been my attention the whole time.
That's very fair. I imagine you've been dreaming about how to break into this thing properly ever since it bested you. Yeah, so you
And
quickly
can I
run...
use speedy search to complete your test in half the time I would otherwise take?
Oh, absolutely, yes. You have mentally prepared yourself for this, and you are ready for it. You dash outside, avoid as much of the rain as you can, duck into Sarik's tent without anybody noticing as far as you can tell, and you stand before your greatest nemesis, the very mundane-looking cabinet that holds the secrets of this entire operation.
I hate you, cabinets. I say, cool. I'm gonna try to re-roll that since I got.
Well, it's a 10 plus 1, so that's an 11.
Oh wait, did I thought I had something. Wait, that I have a re-roll for it. Cool. So yeah, I'll try again. Yes, I will definitely take 17.
You have a reroll?
Yes,
because
I have
you have
T3.
Excellent. Yes. So the 16, you finally
17
hear.
because the +1.
That's right. You finally hear that satisfying click as you get through this lock. It surprised you just how tricky it was to crack into. Maybe that makes you feel a little bit better about not succeeding the last time, maybe not. But you open up one of the panels, and inside there are various scroll cases just filling up this hollow within this cabinet.
Perfect time for a speedy search to find what I'm looking for.
Yes, so you just want to kind of go through them methodically and see what is interesting.
Yeah.
Make a perception search test.
Okay.
And no matter how you do, you'll do it quite quickly.
Can I use seeing?
Seeing? You're kind of passing through information more than you are noticing a small detail.
That's fair. 13.
Okay. You quickly look through all the stuff that's here. A lot of it is very sort of boring bureaucratic stuff. You notice there's a few important communiques here and there of big names in the Kingdom of the Blue Rose. From the desk of the high what would they be called? Basically, the people who are in charge of the kingdom's development and infrastructure, some very big names there that you recognize, and also some from the Sovereign's Finest as well. They seem to have some kind of interest in this tunnel as well. And you see the ultimate plan for how this tunnel is meant to go as well. You kind of see some beautiful sketches. You're not sure if Sarik did this or somebody else, but you see what the final project is meant to look like when it is completed. And you also see a number of survey reports that talk about risk assessments and things like that. And you can see that a lot of them have been it seems that Sarik has gotten information that has basically said, hey, we're worried about this danger, so we're going to have to delay things and do so-and-so. And then Sarik responds back with, are you serious? Well, fine. Okay, what do we need to do? Then he gets a letter back, usually very quickly, that says, oh, never mind about that. You're cleared.
Okay, so it doesn't say exactly what the delay was, though? It just says that...
The delays are typically safety concerns of just like, hey, we don't want you to kind of like rush into this place. We just discovered there's a kingdom of night people there. We need to be, very careful about this, etc. And then on multiple fronts, like for some people it is concerned about, interacting with the night people. For some people it is concerns about shadow gates and such. And for other people it's like, hey, is this going to be okay with Rosea? We need to make sure this is all, cleared before we get too far into it. And for every single one, it has that same letter that comes eventually of, oh, never mind. And you can see at some point Sarik gets clearly annoyed by this, of just like, okay, stop screwing me around with all this, threats of delays and let me get on with my job, or make me stop, but don't just grab me by the collar.
Is there like a specific person who is being the one saying, okay, go, and a specific person saying
different
no?
people
It's
each
all
time.
different people
Yes.
each time? Okay, that's interesting. I still don't feel like I found what Bates wants me to find, though. I just take a couple papers at random and just shove them into my pocket, I guess.
Okay, you're just gonna steal some random papers?
Yeah.
Sounds good.
This is like
All
the
right.
second time Sarik's tent's been raided, and people just stole random papers.
I did not steal anything the first time. We left a spider to scare him.
No, Micah stole something the first time.
Micah stole something? What did you steal?
Some, I think, just
Like a
again, random
teapot or
papers.
something?
A teapot
What?
and some random papers.
Why?
Because you didn't, I don't know what a teapot is. Maybe it's a tool of sorcery. It was.
I believe Sarik was the first surface dweller you interacted with.
Craziest one. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Alright.
I guess. Fuck. This is not going. I just look at the cabinet and I'm like, you're a disappointment!
The cabinet remains stoic. Make one more stealth check to make your escape.
11 plus 2 stunts. Let's see how
Okay.
That's fine. If I can lie my way out of this.
Sure.
Lying is.
You do. There is someone who's going back to work who kind of sees you getting out of Sarik's tent, and they go, "Oi, wait up, hold up. Who are you?"
Oh no, Rami! I was just picking up some stuff for the article. Don't worry about it.
Does Sarik know you're in his tent?
Yes, of course. He told me to go there.
Make a deception test. Which, let's all be honest, we know how this is gonna go.
19. I don't have to re-roll that. I've never had to re-roll it.
Yes, the man who's standing in front of you just kind of leans a bit closer, and it's a little sinister at first. Then he says, "I'm the hugest fan. I just approached because I just wanted to say that you are absolutely amazing. I love your articles. Keep up the great work."
Oh, thank you. I love hearing from the little people.
And very happy with himself, he starts walking away.
My life. I guess I go collect Ricard, and that's why I just. Did Bates tell me what he wanted? Like what he
No.
specifically?
You kind of hung off on him before he could really extrapolate, unfortunately.
I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what he wants. This is not going well. I'm a terrible spy.
But yes, you return back to Miniry. You kind of like grab Ricard by the collar and leave. And he's actually got some things in his hands as you're leaving. And he's just kind of looking at him going, "Oh, very fascinating."
What do you have, Ricard, darling?
He kind of looks up at you and he says, "Well, I'm not entirely sure just yet, but I want to do some tests on what I found here. This is very fascinating."
What do you think you found?
I'm not certain. It could be a new, some form of quartz, or maybe.
It's a
some kind of
fucking rock,
granite.
Ricard.
He's like, no, it's very interesting.
Did you let them know there's no scary ghosts? Make them feel better?
Ricard's eyes widen and he says, "I didn't get to do any kind of testing, no."
Go back, Ricard! And I just push him. Okay.
He says, "I needed to meet Val today, but can you inform her that I will be late?"
Yes, I will inform Val you will be late. Find out if there are scary ghosts or not. You're doing wonderful. I'll hold your pretty rock and I'll put it in your house for you.
And he starts to leave, then he turns around again and says, "Oh, I was also going to speak to Micah today, but please inform her that I will also be late for that as well."
I will inform everyone. Do you have
Hello.
any other friends that I should let know?
No need to bother everybody, I only have just those two.
Okay. Hey, Ricard, thank you. I do truly, truly appreciate this.
it's no trouble.
And I guess I throw. You know, I'm gonna call Bates on the way back. And I'm like, what the fuck are you even looking for, Bates?
Okay, so you send out your psychic. Well, do you have the psychic contact arcana?
No, but do I need it to contact him, or is that
Yes.
like? Oh, okay, then I can't. Yeah, I'll wait till he calls back. I ignored him, so he's gonna call me back at some point.
Yeah.
I guess I go throw Ricard's rocks in his room, and then I go let the others know that he's busy.
Okay, so yeah, Rami, you find Micah. She's at the forge watching various bits of armor get made. You can recognize that some of the ore that has been extracted from the tunnel is being sent straight here to be used for some of the villagers' purposes. So Micah and Suna are kind of hanging out at this forge, and then you arrive.
Ricard won't be meeting you today because he's looking for a ghost in the mine. Goodbye.
What? The ghost in the mines? What? There's a ghost in the mines?
Suna says, "Is that where the cow went? It got all the way to the mines?
Yeah, yes, it is. Yep, totally.
Oh, this thing's on a rampage."
It is on a rampage. So terrifying. Oh, also,
should-
I'm pretty. No, we should do nothing. The ghost cow's absolutely terrifying. If you get near it, it will corrupt you. Hey,
That's-
do you have any sorcerers in your kingdom, Micah?
What? Obviously not.
Are you sure about
Suna
that?
comes in and kind of like goes to you, Rami, and says, "Cap's not a real fan of the whole sorcery thing. Best not to really bring it up, because
I'm aware. This is important.
seems like you're not, though."
Sorcerers in the- we barely even use magic. Oh my god.
See, this is what I'm talking about.
It's fine. She'll calm
Is
down.
there a sorcerer in the mountain right now? Right now? Should I like?
My. I was just talking with Ricard, and the magic stone he found that was kind of evil. You were there when we found the magic sword of evil stone. Well,
Yes.
apparently it has night person origins, so I was wondering if you had any evil sorcerers in your family.
Oh, that's interesting. I don't think so. I wouldn't know where that came from at all. I don't think there's nothing in any of those passages about melding through walls. Just kind of stone shape things out of the way, and that's about it.
Maybe someone who visited the night persons often and was able to use some of your own information against you.
I mean,
Did you have any visitors?
if that was the case, that was probably all the way back in when the Kianite kingdom was, where it originally was, and it was actually a kingdom. Now it's no-
Well, you are rebuilding currently, so it might be a kingdom very soon.
We are 50 people, Rami. I don't think it's gonna be a kingdom anytime soon. I think my mom
I
and dad are
believe
just
in
excited
you.
to remodel. Being completely honest.
Well, I'm happy for your family then. Have fun on your date later. Bye.
Wait, what date? No, wait. wait.
Iree's been telling everyone, and I just leave.
Wait. Oh, she's gone. Okay.
Hang about. Cap's going on a date.
I am not going on a date. Stop.
We kind of like turn to see in the background Morik is hard at work, banging on some iron. Then he turns around and says, "Not that I have a problem with people coming to visit, but can I help anybody here? Or can I just get back to work?"
Well, I was just seeing if the dagger was finished, and then I'll be on my way. Sorry to bother. Not
Yes,
that it's
of
for
course.
someone in particular, Suna.
She's like, "What? Wait a minute. Hang about."
Nothing.
And Morik kind of like quenches what he's working on in a big vat of oil, and he goes and grabs something off a rack, and he says, "Yep, here you go. I hope it reaches your specifications."
Thank you. I think so. I know nothing about these things.
Hmm.
Never used one before, but thanks.
Oh, well, be careful.
She's
And so it's just like, Cap knows how to be careful.
Yep.
If she can punch an ogre, imagine what she could do with this.
She like touches the tip of it. Ow. Sorry.
Morik kind of turns around and goes, well, I'm going to get back to work on the rest of the Watcher's armor.
Thank you. And I need to
Of
go
course.
talk to Ricard at some point. Okay, forget the. Ricard's. Mike will probably go to the mines instead. Just like this
Okay.
boy is not ignoring me.
Do you just sprint straight to the mines?
Pretty much, yeah. I'm just running
So
with a
sort
pair
of
scissors right
sort
now.
of follows you, and he's like, "Oh, Cap, what's happening? What are we doing?"
Well, first, I guess I should probably figure out about the ghost cow that might be in the mines. And second, I probably need to talk to Ricard. On my own. You don't need to follow me. Is all.
I'm your lieutenant, Cap. I gotta make sure you. Oh, you're fast. She desperately tries to keep up with you.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah,
To the mines.
you dash through the rain, impacting with every raindrop, just sending a massive spray of water behind in your wake. And you get up to the mines. Sorry, to the tunnel, and run inside. And yeah, you're there now. What do you do?
Like, as soon as she runs in, she like looks around. She's like, oh, okay, well, they're actually doing quite a bit of work there. Ooh, I don't know if they should stone shape that bit. Okay, that's fine.
Immediately, Sarik sees you, and he says, "Micah, my friend, what can I do to help you? What brings you here today?"
I'm actually looking for Ricard, but looks like you're doing good here, except for that pillar. Probably don't want to stand under that for too long.
He kind of looks at the pillar and says, "What's wrong with that pillar?"
But it's bowing in. It's gonna crack like this.
He says, "That is an aesthetic choice, and we have supports on the other side that compensate for it."
What other support? Okay. She's still just like, I wouldn't have done it like this.
Goodness, I wish you were on my team. If you're looking for the arcane man, he is over there. Many people have tried talking to him. He does not seem very interested.
Okay, well,
Also, he stole some of our ore. I don't know. Should I talk to you about who do I? What? It's probably fine. Maybe don't arrest him. Maybe just ask. Not my problem.
okay, if it's a lot, I could talk to him and probably reacquisition it in your name, but, you know.
Whatever.
I'm sorry.
I have very little to do right now.
Okay, thank you, sorry.
And you run over to Ricard. He's kind of got an entire bucket of ore that he's just kind of looking at and going, "Oh, fascinating." Clearly completely forgotten the whole ghost detection that he's meant to be doing right now.
Good one job!
I just take the bucket from Ricard and just like hold it over his head. I will give this back. Well, except you need to tell me about the magic artifact that you found. You told Rami. You're supposed to tell me too.
Oh, Micah.
Yes.
Yes. The Sorcerer's Talisman that we found in the clutches of those people of ill repute at the settlement that we went to. I believe I have completely deciphered all the mysteries surrounding it. I believe I understand its origins.
And something
Can I have my
about
bucket
the
back?
main people? No, not yet. Holds it up higher. No.
Yes, I believe cross-referencing what I've seen of your work with this talisman, I believe it to be of a similar origin. I believe it originates from your kingdom.
Anything else? I know this part. I mean, who made it and how long ago was it?
I couldn't say who exactly made it, but I can tell you exactly what it does. And he says, it bestows a power known as stone swimming. Are you familiar?
Am I familiar?
Ooh, that's a good question. Make an arcane lore test, and you do not have to keep your hands up. The bucket falls down.
The
Ha!
bucket falls down on top of Ricard. He has a concussion. He dies. Ha.
Rocks fall. Ricard dies.
This is what turns about evil.
Oh no.
My son.
Arcane lore, you said?
Yes.
I have 15 with 5 stun points.
You have heard of stone swimming, yes. You've never witnessed its application. You've only heard it in passing. You don't necessarily know the specifics of it. It is a craft of your people, as far as you're aware, but you never really got too far into exactly what it entails.
So is it actually something sorcerous, or is Micah thinking like, oh, okay, this might be just something
as far as you know, if it's anything sorceress with any of your people, it gets purged immediately. Like there's simply nothing there. They are far too mistrustful of the art. Stone swimming, as far as you're aware, there's nothing that strikes you as like, oh yes, that bit of sorceress stuff. Like it's just a power. You're not entirely sure why it would be associated with a sorcerous object like this.
I see. And what does Ricard, or yeah, what do you plan to do with it now?
Well, since I've fully extracted everything I need from it, the next matter is destroying it safely.
Destroying it?
It is a sorcerous object. It can, although its power of corruption is very limited, and I believe only contact bestows any kind of risk, I think it is still best that it doesn't stay lying around.
That makes sense, but dang it. I kind of want it. Sorry, out of character, I kind of want it.
There's nothing stopping you from just taking it.
I'll think about it. Okay, sounds good.
Okay, so you just leave at that point?
Yeah, I'll give the bucket back to Ricard. And just say, just, if you're gonna study this, at least return it and tell Sarik first, so he doesn't know that you're just taking it for your own personal gain.
Which one is Sarik?
That one right there.
Sarik just kind of goes,
The one who is probably calling for you and is in charge of this whole operation. You should know each other by now.
and Ricard goes, yes, sorry, my ability with names is not very good.
Okay, tell that man over there, and like physically move Ricard's head. Tell this man, nod.
I understand. I see, yes.
Yes, nod. You're going to play
Could you-
nice.
Inform Val that I might be late today.
Doing that!
I guess. What?
Thank you.
You can't just spend your time. Okay, you know what? That's fine. I will tell Val, and in the meantime, don't steal a bunch of ore and return it at some point. Tell that guy. Don't just leave. Okay. This boy's a headache.
At this point, you hear the heavy panting of Suna. She's like, all right, Cap. All right, where is it? She like pulls out her sword. All right, let's get it.
Oh, I don't think.
And the miners react fairly badly to this. Like, whoa! Whoops.
So calm down. I just needed to talk to Ricard, and I don't think there is a ghost cow in here. It might just be one of Rami's stories.
Here, one of the miners go, ghost cow? And one of them goes, it's made it here. No, I always knew this would happen. And Sarik's like, please, no. Please. And then there's just this big uproar happening.
Okay, bye. Sorry, Sarik. Have a good day.
Maybe Ricard will do the one thing he's supposed to do, calm down the whole ghost thing. Maybe.
You leave, Micah sprinting again, and Suna goes, oh, you're kidding me? And she like sheaths her sword and goes, wait up, Cap.
Hey, do I get a point of conviction for causing chaos?
I think I
For what just transpired here, you weren't necessarily directly involved.
Yeah, I did though. I told them about the ghost cow that had nothing
You
to do
did,
with
but
anything.
I think I already gave you conviction for doing that at the tavern.
No, I didn't get any.
All right, take a point of conviction.
Because that was destructive. I brought Ricard into their midst and then told everyone about a ghost cow and left.
Fair enough. All right. So Micah, where do you go, or what do you do next, if anything, of interest?
Where does Ricard live? Sorry.
He lives. Somebody sort of loaned out the top floor of their house to him. It's just a place in the middle of town.
Look, man, I know sorcery is bad. There is some corruption, but those other people used it, and they don't seem to be flying evil dragons, right?
People who aggressively try to murder people during a wedding.
That's true, but I don't think the night people would do that.
You're the least person I expected to do this.
But it would help so much. Holy crap, wouldn't it?
question, Micah.
choice.
Oh boy.
It's
Nobody
very
there to
interest-
consult with
it's
unless you go to
interesting
consult with somebody.
narratively. It's interesting narratively.
What are you doing, Micah?
I don't know. Again, get back to me. I will think about it.
Okay.
Well, I have to drop off a rock at Ricard's house, and then I have to go talk to Val. So I guess I'm just doing Ricard's chores, like
I guess I will also
currently.
go talk to Val because Ricard told me to.
So I guess
Val.
both Micah and I
Party
meet
at
Val.
Val's place. Blue, you see that everybody's going to Val's. Do you want to tag along?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh boy.
I'm already at the
Lovely.
tavern, so I have to eventually go out into the rain. I might as well go
Mm.
visit Val and everyone.
Great. So the rest of you arrive at Val's place. It is warm. It is surprisingly buzzing right now. You see Alzani. You see that Elsa is there as well. You see Esmira and Feldo. Just a bunch of people hanging out. What do you all do? Who do you all talk to? What's
I mean,
going on?
I have to give the message that I was told to give.
I'm definitely like probably like fussing over Alzani and probably just be like, you're not eating enough. Like you're too skinny. Like you need to eat.
Ricard's
He-
going to be late.
Oh, what happened?
He's
Where-
investigating a ghost in the mine. At least he's supposed to. He's probably staring at a rock right now.
When did the ghost mine? Was I told about this?
Hannah runs up to you, Micah, and says, Micah, I made fire.
Oh, you did. Great job. Do you want to show me?
Yes! She like drags you outside immediately, and you see just
Cold sweat.
ruined candles, like melted globs of wax everywhere.
Oh.
That's a very applicable reaction.
She's just like, this is gonna be a lot to clean up.
I have resigned myself already.
Val, it honestly feels like every time you look up, there's just 2 more people in your house.
I'm getting a little frazzled, not gonna
Mhm.
lie. Because not only is Hannah setting small fires,
Yeah.
like, there's people everywhere. And there's also like a lot of things going on. So I may be a little stressed at this point.
Cool. Make a wild arcane test.
Oh god damn it.
And
do
the
I say
difficulty is
things?
going to be 16, which you made it.
It is 16. Yes.
Which means your wild arcane is going to go up another point yet again.
this
so
is
next time it's
going
gonna
to
17.
be
So you feel kind of like there's something sort of boiling inside you, and you manage to just breathe and suppress it, push it right back down again. But oh boy, it was a close one that time.
Conceal,
Oh,
don't
dear.
feel.
Yes.
Let it
Put
show.
on a show.
You know the last time this happened, which wasn't too long ago, it set off a hurricane in your room, and that would be a bad thing to happen
And that
right
was
now.
new. That was new.
That was
We're
new,
trying
yes.
not to think about that too much. So, we are having some A+ coping mechanisms in this household right now.
Beautiful.
So yeah, that's what I'm doing. What are you guys doing?
Well, I gave you what I was told to give you, which was information from Ricard. Now,
right.
he's yeah. What was he coming over for anyway?
For you, Val, it was
let's
just to talk to Hannah about stuff.
Yeah, he said that he was going to give Hannah some pointers on fire shaping, how to keep it under control, although in hindsight, he didn't exactly have it under control in the forest, so maybe this is a mixed bag.
Oh, I'm here for it. They can start fires together. It'll be fun.
Did you talk about how how Hannah's a fire shaper?
I think we all see her in the back doing.
I don't know if Blue realized that until just like at this.
Just
yes.
now, as she's
Right,
sitting
so-
there with Micah setting things on fire.
Well, I mean, she dragged Micah outside to do all that.
Fire shaping. That's an interesting way to go. I thought we were gonna do some plant shaping lessons. When
It
did that happen?
just happened. I don't know if she has wild magic like I do, or if this is.
Did we know about your wild magic? Is that a thing?
Shit, no!
You have wild magic?
You have wild magic.
I
Hold on,
just look at them
pause,
like, how
pause,
did you?
pause. Val, did you intend to say that, or was that just a
No, that was just kind of me wondering whether or not this is something like.
If
that
you
is
wanted to
wild
slip, that's also very fun, but you don't.
That
You
was
don't have
very
to.
fun.
I feel like
exactly know what
she might have been musing out loud, like she's just like, I don't know if this is wild magic or not, and yeah, just like.
What's wild magic? That sounds wild.
You've never heard it? What?
You mean wield? You mean like plant shaping? Like wield
No.
magic?
No, it's well in this game it's called Wild Arcana or Arcane or whatever. But honestly, wild magic just sounds like
Interchangeable,
easier
it's
to
fine.
say. It's when it doesn't come from study; it just happens.
Like being
Like
naturally born with it,
visions?
like a Raiden kind of?
Or like how I just get one because I have elf ears?
No one's really sure how it works. I don't know.
That explains the wild part, I guess.
Is it wild because it's really wild and crazy?
No, it's wild because it can sometimes happen at any time.
Oh,
Oh,
that seems really inconvenient.
yeah.
It is.
You know, it honestly it just sounds like having visions. That sucks.
It's
Wait.
like visions?
They
on.
have
Remy, you let people know you have visions, right?
They know because I was there with
Okay.
a headache from it.
Yeah.
They
yeah.
specifically know.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah, you.
There's been a lot of exchange of information lately, and we're not sure what.
Yes,
There's a lot happening right now.
Yeah, I mean, like, we had a conversation about it a while ago because I had a headache and had to be carried. But that's fine. Don't
Wow.
remember anything about me.
Has she shown any other sort of magics?
No, this is the first time that she's done this, but I mean,
They come in multiples, don't they? I'm pretty sure everyone gets more than one.
No, they don't.
Oh. Well, I'm sorry.
That's
You
okay.
hear somebody going knock knock, and you turn around and see that Akamu and Latsi have arrived, adding yet more to the gaggle of people that are here now.
okay. I wave cheerily from the corner.
I don't trust them.
They come up to you,
Happily.
and Latsi, Akamu says, "I'm just looking. The books don't want to bother whatever's going on here. Can you just point me to the?"
Oh, yes, I will show him like the 5 books that we
It's a decent bookshelf. It's just not filled with very interesting stuff.
Yeah. I'm kind of like feeling nervous that he's gonna look at this library and just be like,
That's the exact expression he has on his face. Just like,
we tried.
this is everything. Is there,
Yes.
like a fun restricted section somewhere?
No.
Okay. This is fine. This is fine. There's plenty to work with. Thank you very much.
We weren't
Meanwhile,
exactly
Latsi-
big on keeping records before, so this is what we have.
Well, it just adds more steps to the puzzle. Just makes it more fun.
I suppose that is one way to look at it.
Meanwhile, Latsi comes up to you and says, "When should I begin the lessons? Would you like me to do it now? I find myself with some free time. I've already accomplished a lot today."
I mean, now would be great. The kitchen is free, so we can sit down and run over what she knows already, and we can come up with a plan. And I will go grab her just 1 second, and I like stick my head out onto the porch, and I'm like, Hannah, there's someone that I would like you to meet real quick. He's a scientist, and he said that he would be willing to teach you some things.
Whoa! And she kind of gets up, leaving just a splodge of wax to lie there on the
That's gonna
porch.
need to be scraped off. Okay.
You don't know where she's getting all these candles. You're pretty sure that any kind of holy ceremonies you'll be doing will need to be restocked very soon.
That's fine. I don't use them that much anyways. As long as she doesn't find, the oil lamp, that's fine. That's fine.
So yeah, she runs inside following you. And
Okay.
Micah, you're probably coming in at this point as well.
I will get us all set up in the kitchen, like pull out some paper and... Are there pencils at this point?
Yes.
Okay.
Pencils confirmed.
Great. Cool. I'm glad I wasn't writing with a feather pen. That's hard.
Okay.
Right
Well,
now,
I mean, it could have also been like an ink pen, like a
Yeah.
dip pen.
as you're doing this, Val, you can hear the sound of Feldo's voice echoing into the room we are in, and he is, kind of giving a rhetoric to everybody. Really sort of taking up space right now.
Who is?
Wait, who is this?
Feldo, the artist patron.
Oh,
of...
boy.
Oh, him! Right.
Yes, you see, I think if the gods have blessed us with this rain, then we should use it for what it is meant to be, and that is inspiration. I think we should all go outside and really try to feel one with it.
Oh boy. I am just going to stick my head into the room to see what chaos is happening and just kind of make some eye contact with Elzar to just be like, don't cause anything.
You see Elzar walks up to Feldo, and he says,
Shit.
"So you fancy yourself a bit of an artist, do you?" And
Oh,
Feldo
no.
goes, "Fancy myself a bit
Oh
of an
no.
artist. I am what they would call a paragon when it comes to my artistic flair."
God.
Oh, dear.
In fact, I am fairly sure I've heard the young people of this place say that when something is very interesting and very, very modern and new, they call it Ashenat, which is my last name, which you of course know. It
That's
is very...
not how they use it exactly.
Remy, I thought you were on my side.
Of course I am, darling. But
These
I
things
also...
take time to catch on. You have to blow on the flame a little.
Oh no, they're using it, just not for the way you would like yet, darling.
Oh dear.
I am desperately trying to make eye contact with Elzar and just be like, please no.
Do I notice her making eye contact with him?
AK perception test.
Shit. Is he responding in any way, or is he just like...
Let's see what the roll is first. No, well yeah, you're kind of like constantly trying to like get him to stop. Yes, Rami, you noticed. Elsa isn't looking at you, Val. He's
Oh,
looking
God.
squarely at Feldo.
Oh no.
You know, if you're interested in trying new things, Elsar, Alfonso knows a lot about the art. I'm sure he could tutor you in some of it.
I'm not looking for tutoring so much as I am. How about a little contest, Feldo? And
Oh,
Feldo
that
says,
sounds fun.
"A contest? Art is not a thing you can be. Okay, let's do this. who even are you? I haven't even heard of you. Let's do this. What medium? Are we talking paint? Are we talking sculpture? Are we talking anything?
How about ceiling painting of blue? I've wanted this in session 1.
Sorry. Excuse me, what? I don't know if I want to be a part of this devil went down to Georgia.
Val,
type.
there's nothing on your ceiling. Would this be appropriate?
No, we have to do it at the meeting place at the town hall. You get one half of the ceiling, he gets the other half. We'll see who's better.
Is it gonna be like 2 blues, or is it like 1/2 of blue in 2 different styles?
We'll find out.
Okay, cool.
Sin is from the doorway. Is this a responsible use
Yes,
of
it
resources?
is! 100%! I know
Esmira
the council.
gently steps in and she says, "I don't think we want to do something quite so permanent on public village property just yet. But an art contest, that sounds delightful."
Well, I think if we're going to have an art contest, why would we want a simple, boring one, right, Ufeldo? Oh, just a boring little one that anyone can walk past. No, it should be on the ceiling where anyone can see. It should be monumental. Don't you?
Rami, let me tell you something. This town person, this outsider, I don't even know his name. I do not want to crush him so thoroughly that he weeps and runs off into the mountains. It would be cruel. I have to be very careful with my strengths, you see.
Yeah,
But
sure,
tell everybody
buddy.
about it.
Oh, I will. I'll let anyone. This should be fun. I'm very interested in how this will go.
Yeah, the
Die
two
a
of
little
them,
bit inside.
the two of them make a plan. As soon as the rain stops, there will be a very simple, straightforward painting contest. of Blue. Blue, I don't know how much you really get to agree to this. or not.
Blue has been a model for like day now, and he already has like 2 new painters just trying to go for it. That'll be great.
Well, that's
yes.
sort of what I wanted, I guess.
The gauntlet has been thrown down.
Jesus Christ.
Oh
So
boy.
I ask Val's guest then. So have you done a lot of painting before?
Elsa looks at you and he says, I'm sort of trying to expand my craft.
What would you say your craft normally is? Just so I can write an accurate article about this contest happening.
I fancy myself a bit of a polymath.
That's boring. Okay. And have you... So this is something you're trying out for sort of new then for you, not something normal?
I've lost interest in talking to you. Goodbye. And he sort of slinks off and goes back to Elzani.
I hate him. I hate him so much. I know you have secrets too, and I hate it.
At this
Mr.
point,
Marmalade.
you feel the psychic ping from Bates once again, Rami.
Ugh, I step out, and then I'll answer it.
Okay. You see a sort of shimmering projection of Bates appears. You can see he's sitting down. Looks like he's at a desk writing something at the moment. And he looks up to you and he says, "Hello, duckling." Right.
What do you even want with the mine? I've asked so many questions. I broke in there like 5 times. What am I looking for?
He sort of seems a bit taken aback by this, and he says,
Oh, sorry. I haven't put Rami away. It takes a minute.
"He's gonna ask everything okay."
Everything is fine. It's just usually I visualize taking the character and putting it in a box, and then placing that box away and grabbing myself and putting it on, but I forgot to do that. So there was just a little bit of Rami left over. My apologies.
Just watch out when it comes to slips like that, yeah?
Of course, you know long-term ones are more stressful than short-term.
Yeah, I know. Right, so what have you got for me?
I give him all the information that I know, which isn't that much.
He doesn't seem to really react a whole lot to anything, as though he's not exactly absorbing information, he's just sort of noting it down. And he says, "Right, well, good to know. I think at this point, order some Carolina just to keep a close eye on how things are progressing there. Other than that, that's all we got."
That's all. All right. I'll keep a closer eye. I mentioned specifically the big names because I would have memorized all of those people, so I know who they are.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. How's it going? I've heard that things weren't so great in Alden.
Oh. Well, I'm not in all this right now, but
Okay.
yeah, I'm hearing all sorts of things. It's been I feel like I need to apologize for the way I treated you last time we talked. There's no excuse for it. No excuse. I was very frustrated and I took it out on you.
Oh. Thank you. Well. Oh. So, if that's all.
Well, is there anything else you need to report on?
I mentioned Ricard's rock, the corrupt rock that we found, figured out everything about it. It's probably about to get destroyed, so not much
Yeah, Bates
worry
seems
there.
to take a bit of a keen interest in that, and he goes, "That's unusual. That's very good to know."
Oh, yes, and they're setting up a homestead now. They're going to stay in the mountains, start making a castle, I think I heard from Micah.
Well, that's going to change some things. Good to know. Good to
Is
know.
it? Oh, okay.
Well, whenever anybody expands their influence, there's always going to be clashes that happen in the future.
That's true. Micah is very nice, but she's also very naive.
You using that to your advantage?
When I have to, yes.
Good.
I also had a vision of Jules. Apparently, he talked to a fortune teller and is still looking for Fiona.
I might have to figure out a more permanent solution to this little problem.
Well, how long is my time with Rami? I'll slip into something else soon. We don't have to do anything permanent.
I mean, it's ongoing.
As long as I keep moving, he can't catch up.
But we need you exactly where you are. It's a problem. Caroline is very interested in everything you're doing.
Oh, this town is so small. At first I thought this was like a punishment. Is it not a punishment?
You clearly don't seem to know that you're Caroline's favorite then. She is hanging on every little thing you do, every single bit of information that gets sent back. She doesn't do anything before hearing it. She put you there for a very good reason, which means that she trusts you a lot. Which makes sense. I'm pretty sure that most of the difficulties and failures that we have both experienced have been placed squarely on my shoulders, and
It was my information, though, that was faulty. How is that your fault?
because I was responsible for you at the time. Just like with Isolde.
Where is she? Do you know?
I know.
Will you tell me?
You know that's not how this works. She's alright, if it means anything.
That means a lot. I can handle Jules. If he's coming here, I'll handle it. It doesn't have to be permanent. All I have to do is make it so that he never wants to see me again. That's something I can handle.
Yeah, it seems like it shouldn't be too difficult, and yet he's been hounding you this long. I'm worried he might not be in the most reasonable states of mind right now. But do whatever you have to. Your presence there, the importance can't be understated. There's a lot on the line.
I'll make everyone proud.
I know you will, Duckling. All right, I won't keep you.
Okay.
And his ghostly image fades into the rain.
I am gonna ask Val a question real quick.
Okay, you go inside. Val, you've just set up Hannah with Latzi, gone over kind of like some of the things you've taught her yourself, situated everything there, made sure there's no flammable things nearby, and then gone back out to deal with all the everything else that's going on. It looks like Alzani and Elsa are now discussing where skill with horses come from. Alzani believes that Rosean blood makes you an expert horse rider. Elsa finds this notion hilariously laughable. Afeldo and Esmira are chatting about something. It's all going on.
Okay. Weird question. When Hannah's in trouble, do you avoid her? Do you keep affection only when she does well?
No.
Interesting. I'm using it for an article about child raising. Thank you. That's all, darling.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
That's a very specific question.
What do you do when she doesn't like certain food?
I mean, does Hannah even is Hannah a picky eater? Or is she,
Given that you've been on the move a lot of your life, she's really taken pretty much anything you put in front of her.
I feel like she is kind of just like she'll eat anything, and I'm just like she's not a picky eater, so it's never been an issue.
Oh, and bedtime. Is she good at that? How do you enforce bedtime? What's your way of that?
Well, if she doesn't go to bed, then she doesn't get story time, and she doesn't get 3 things that you learned today.
Story time. Thank you. That's all. Goodbye, darling.
Okay.
Crisis.
A little
Meanwhile-
concerned about that.
Meanwhile, Blue and Micah, you notice that a truly sodden, soaked head to toe Ricard
no.
walks up the steps
Oh,
to this
baby.
place, and it's just dripping everywhere. His beautiful, often flowing locks now still rather pretty, but just long, thin streaks of soaking wet ginger hair.
Micah feels slightly better about this.
You are drenched, Ricard.
Yes, it's raining outside.
Yes, it is. But do you need like a towel? I don't. I mean, I can grab you a towel.
I can probably find
Flutter
a
over. You both, okay, both of you, let's make this a contest. Who can find something to help
Oh,
Ricard
we
out
don't have
first?
to make it a contest.
No,
for
it's
this one?
happened.
Okay.
Make searching
Grab him a
test.
towel.
Can
Searching test, perception.
Yes.
The
searching
question is,
for-
how well organized is Val's house?
There's also a
Usually
9,
pretty
I don't know
good.
where anything is.
A 9 is fine.
13. Good job, Blue.
with
Okay.
four strength points.
Okay.
So Micah starts stomping around this place in her new armor. Blue starts fluttering around. Soon there's like a big sheet of something caught in his talons that he's just fluttering through the room with, and just kind of like throws it over Ricard, who takes a little too long to sort of like rearrange it so it's not covering his face.
There you go. It's fine. It's been a while. How have you been, Ricard?
He looks to you and he says, "It's been rather busy."
Oh. Everything going well though?
I'm not sure. Everything's going how it typically goes. My apologies. How
I
are things
hope
going
that's
with you?
well. I'm not sure. I guess things are going all right. There hasn't been too much going on since the storm and everything, so it's been a bit of a, I guess, a lull in the village, you could
You
say.
can see that Ricard is just shaking.
Are you cold? I can't help that. All I do is make things cold. So,
I'm fine.
would you like to go sit by the fire?
That would be agreeable, I think. And he starts walking over to the fire.
Oh,
I think Hannah at that point goes, "Hi, Ricard!" And he just kind of turns around and goes, "Hello?" And just starts sitting
Can I
next to
please
the fire.
get him like another towel or something? Can we just bundle him up now?
Yes, you can throw as much that is required. Just
This poor boy.
Did you find anything about the ghosts, Ricard?
Ricard takes a second, then stands up and starts walking outside.
No, don't go back to the
Oh no!
No.
Drag him back in!
I seem to have forgotten something.
No, it's okay. Darling, you did your best. You don't have to go back to the mine anymore.
My apologies. It made my entire getting drenched and walking all that way completely meaningless. Well, completely meaningless. I did find some very interesting samples that I hope to look into more. Rami, what did you do with my...
It's in your house, darling. I put
Oh,
it
thank
in
you
your
very
house.
much. I
You're
appreciate it.
welcome.
So, Micah, you see that Ricard is here. If you were ever to do any kind of clandestine activity, now would be the time.
Get
Thanks,
him some
Thomas.
soup.
Yeah, I'd probably just slip out the back and just like, I think, sorry, late for, I need to go, bye. She's not
That's-
sneaky.
That's
Incredible.
weird. That's super odd.
Oh,
Does
You
Micah
know she has a
normally
date
act-
this evening, Rami.
Oh, I'm gonna
Oh,
pester
right.
her about that. I follow because I'm trying to be Micah's friend so she won't bury me alive.
Why would I bury you alive? What?
That's it. I didn't say that out of character. That was out of character, not in character.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, no, I'm gonna pester you about your date. So you have that date coming up.
Well, okay, I didn't exactly think that you would come along as well.
Oh, I'm not coming to your date, but I'm not letting you wear this to your date either.
Okay, well, I'm not really preparing right now. I'm just finishing up some stuff for the guards. Yeah, just finishing my job. Can I help you with anything else?
Are you lying to me? Should you make a deception check?
I guess I
I'll-
should make a deception.
Cindy, I'll let you decide if it's warranted. Entirely
That's
up to you.
I'll
No,
probably-
do it. Do it.
Yeah,
Go
I'll
on, do
the
it.
deception check.
Because what if you roll absurdly well,
What if
and
you
then Rami
do?
rolls absurdly bad? Oh
No.
well.
Denied. I
Well-
can't. Okay, I can't.
Rami, you
lie.
get a perception empathy test to
Okay, I'll just
break through this mighty lie.
13.
Yeah,
boy.
there's something shifty going on.
Darling, are you trying to get something for the date, or is there something else going on that you don't want to tell me?
Well, okay, well, so you remember the whole rock thing that helps you go through other rocks that we kind of found a while back with the bandits?
Yes?
I just kind of wanted to go see it and maybe figure out what it does exactly before Ricard destroys it. That's all. Not do anything else.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
What? Okay.
It'll be our little secret.
I mean, okay. That's kind of nice of you. I thought you were gonna tell everyone and tell everyone how bad guard and stuff like that, but that'd be okay.
Darling, I've told you before that you don't tell everyone everything. That makes it a lot less
You
fun.
run
Some
a
things.
newspaper. Your job is to tell everyone everything.
No, that's what people think. That's actually not what I do at all. I tell everyone the exact information I want them to know. Sometimes I tell them nothing. Sometimes I tell them nothing for a price. Currently, I'm doing you a favor as a friend. Nothing more, nothing less.
Oh, well, okay, thanks. I see you as a pretty good friend too. But yeah, so we just gotta keep it kind of quiet is all. And
Oh yes, very, very quiet. Have fun, darling. And I head back inside.
Okay. So Micah, what's next?
I guess I just go to Ricard's and then see if I can find the thingy. I don't quite remember the description, but maybe my
You
character does.
remember it.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, you go to his place, go up the stairs to his room. His door is not locked, just opens right up. Place is a bit of an disorganized chaos. Organized chaos rather. But the talisman is not immediately obvious where it is right now. If you would like, you can make a searching test to try and find it
Sure.
with perception. And as you kind of look around, at first I imagine you sort of like are looking up and down, and then you probably need to start opening drawers and chests, flipping a couple of
I legit
mattresses.
rolled a 5, guys. That is the lowest roll I think we ever had.
You do have conviction if you would like to
It's
re-roll
kind
one
of
of the dice.
impressive, not gonna lie.
The fact that there's 3d6s, I don't have any bonuses, but still.
Did you want to conviction it?
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
Okay, so that'll be
An 8?
yeah. That's still not
Okay. Well, let's just double check how good an 8 is. Okay, it's between routine and easy. So you look around, you start getting a little too into the search thing. You start pulling out drawers entirely. They drop onto the floor. Whoops. And you start sort of moving around. I think the talisman is not necessarily well hidden. It is just put somewhere for safety. It's just in this lead-lined box that Ricard has. And it is the last thing that you search. And in the process, you completely destroyed this young man's room.
Oh, crap.
Not necessarily intentionally, just you were very strong and you weren't graceful with your search. But soon enough, you open the final thing that you didn't open, and it was right in front of you. You don't know how you didn't see it, and inside you see the talisman.
Can I don't know, can I touch it and just inspect it? Like, all over? Just like... I don't
You are
know.
now holding it. Yeah, you got it. What do you do with it?
I just touch a nearby wall. I'm just like thinking like, oh, I want to phase through this, and I just touch the nearby wall to see my hand goes through.
Interesting. Okay.
Does that
Please
sense?
make a corruption test as you
Oh, I
engage the
didn't-
powers of this corrupted item. So that's gonna be willpower discipline, I think.
Self-discipline? There's...
Yeah, self-discipline. Yeah.
Okay. 13.
Okay. You think this mentally of like push through stone, and you reach your hand out and it just disappears into the wall.
She freaks out, just like, Jesus, is that easy? Are you kidding me? Anyone can do this. Oh, Okay. Oh god, that's really bad.
What's more, when you engaged it, there was this feeling of weightlessness as well, as though you could just, like a ghost, just move through a solid surface.
God, okay. Ah, that'd be super useful. Did I feel anything from the
No.
corruption aspect?
Nothing.
That's kind of bad too, because now she's just like, there's no corruption in it. What are you talking about, guys? I guess I'll just, in the name of the guard, and probably not. I'll probably just kind of borrow it for a little while longer.
Okay.
What is Micah's intelligence? I'm just wondering.
It's like a 3.
Okay.
Oh, I'm really glad we're getting an actual like ghost in the town though. So we're
Yay, we have a ghost! I'm just
So-
thinking, like, Pyrie could have, like, really used this, and, you know...
Well, hold on.
made
Let's
it
discuss these kinds of thoughts in character. So you acquire the talisman, you stow it away, and then you leave. Do you do anything to like clean up the mess, or do you just kind of leave it?
I think she'll try, but then, like, when she first walked in, it already looked like a mess.
Yeah, it's hard to really go back.
Like, some papers that are on the floor, just like, I don't know if they're on the floor, because there's books on the floor too, and, like, I didn't touch that bookshelf at all, but they're already on the floor, so... She'll probably just try to shove the mess like
Just
under the
bulldoze.
desk and into a corner. You know, like when your parents are like,
Yeah.
"You gotta clean your room, kid," and you're just like, "Shit," and you just shove it under.
Okay, you start to just shove a bunch of Ricard's stuff, all his accoutrements to one side, and you can't really tell if it's better or worse. And you take your opportunity to leave with the talisman held close. Go ahead and take conviction.
Cool.
Nice. At this stage, Micah, you got a date.
I do have it. God damn! I think I'll just yeah, I'll go on the freaking date.
Okay. Yeah, so you know you're going to go to meet Wager at her house at the lighthouse to do some combat practice and maybe hang out a little bit afterwards.
Yep.
So you head over to the lighthouse, you knock on the door, she answers, and she says, Micah, just on time, come on in.
Okay.
And you step into the lighthouse. Yeah, you probably have to duck down a little bit to get inside. It's a very cozy and warm interior. There's a big spiral staircase leading up to the beacon itself. And then there's sort of the side house connected directly to the tower. And it's nice. It's got a few sort of nautical trinkets from back in Wager's pirating days. It's a bit messy here and there, but it looks like she's taking a bit of effort to sort of make things look nice and welcoming at the very least. And you see that Zuz, Wager's adopted daughter, is there, and she's kind of like sitting up top one of the spiral stairs and just kind of looking down at you. And Wager says, say hello to Micah, Zuz. And Zuz kind of looks to you and goes, she's a guard captain. Don't know if we can trust her. And Wager says, oh, my beautiful daughter. That's very true, we can't, but we can trust Micah. And she kind of like pulls you in closer.
Wait, is there a reason I shouldn't, like, do you have an issue with guard captains, I guess?
So just kind of like sticks her lip out at you. But Wager says, I think with all the tales I've given her about some of my more exuberant days, she might have picked up not a whole lot of respect for authority.
I see. I guess I haven't really asked you about your past before. And she's just like, what have I gotten myself into? This is a criminal. I did not realize until now.
She kind of notices that there's a clear sort of look of concern on your face, and she says, that's all behind me, though. Just to make extra clear. Did we want to get on with the fighting lesson?
Sure.
Then we start right now, and she shoves you. Make a strength test using might to stay on your feet. And you also get a +2 from this because of your armor.
Yeah. That's a 23 total?
She shoves at you and then throws herself back, such is the power of your stance. And she lands on the ground and she goes,
Oh god,
All
God,
right.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to shove back like that.
she kind of like pulls up a hand for you to pull up.
Yeah, I pull her up and dust her
And
off.
she
I'm so
drags you onto the ground
sorry.
and trips you and like rolls on top of you and says, if I had a knife right now, you'd be dead.
Oh, do you not have knives or something?
She says, well, for this, I didn't want to actually put a knife to your throat. It seemed a bit excessive.
Oh,
And also, we're just training.
yeah, okay. I'm glad you actually don't want to, murder me and things like that. Yeah, that's good to know. But still, I didn't mean to shove you that hard. Are you okay?
I'm fine.
Okay.
You misunderstand. When you do something like that, it's very good.
Well, yeah, but, if we're just training, it's still good to ask, right?
That's true. And then she says, so, you just gonna sit here with me lying on top of you, or you gonna get out of this?
Oh, I'll just, shove her off, I guess.
Okay, you shove her off, she kind of falls to one side, and she kind of like waits and anticipates your next move.
We're also doing this indoors, right?
Correct.
I don't know. I guess I will, I don't want to ruin any of her stuff. How do we ruin someone else's home today?
She picks up a nearby barrel and throws it at you, and
What
it
are you
breaks
doing?
across your
Stop
body.
ruining your own home!
She says, all right, lesson 1 for today, use your environment, and she just tackles you to the ground
This
as well.
is your hacker!
And there's just crashing and clattering and rolling around and leaping up on things. Make a series of fighting tests for me, if you'd be so kind.
Okay. Sure, how many?
Let's do 3.
Okay.
Yeah, that goes.
Alright, so it's a 15, a 13, and a 15.
These are the best fighting rolls you've ever done in your entire career.
know!
As a warrior. It's great. Yeah, so it becomes a protracted battle of you and her in her house. You easily have a strength and reach advantage, so she has to pull out all the stops to use her speed and her cunning. And like every time she does something a little underhanded, she just yells out, "There's a lesson to learn! Anytime you step in front of something like this, it means I can use it against you," and like tries to trip you with things. And there's all sort of manner of underhanded tactics that, as far as you were aware, fighting is meant to be 2 people stand here and they keep bashing each other till one of them falls over. Wager really
trying to save some furniture. She throws mugs at her. And Micah's dodging it, but also trying to catch it. It's like, okay,
Yep.
don't throw. Okay, yeah, alright, I'll set it down here.
Yeah. The training blades come out soon after, and you're kind of going through some of the stances that she has taught you. And then she says, okay, you know all those things I taught you? Well, forget them, because someone like me knows exactly how to use them against you. And she just trips you with her blade.
What was the point of you teaching me in the first place? Ah!
Because now you can use it against other people who do know that kind of thing. And she pulls you up and then starts it's a full-on swashbuckling fight. You're both standing on the steps, just kind of fighting your way up the stairs, just spiraling up and around the lighthouse. Zeus this entire time has just gone from being very distrustful of you to just loving everything that is happening. There's destruction, there's energy, there's chaos. She's seeing her mother go really to town, showing all these techniques, maybe taking some notes for himself. And it's great. She even Zeus kind of you get disarmed at one point, and Zeus throws the sword back at you, and Wager's hey, I thought you were on my side. And it's great. You don't know how much you necessarily retain from everything going on. It was very much just reactionary, everything you were doing all night. But
she's destroying her own house. Hello.
Yeah, soon enough, you, the fighting lessons die down, and you both kind of collapse in a heap, breathing very heavily, I imagine.
I'm not going to clean up for you. I hope you know that.
She laughs and kind of punches you lightly on the chest, and she says, well, next time if I win, maybe I'll make you clean up the mess.
I mean, I'm pretty sure you won. I'm still not cleaning up for you. You can't make me.
She says, now you're getting it.
You threw a
and
barrel at me!
She says, "It exploded when it touched you. I was not expecting that. It was incredible, and you didn't even flinch."
I mean, yeah, but it still hurts my feelings.
Oh,
You threw a barrel
sorry.
at me.
And she just like immediately grabs your hand off there. Oh, I didn't mean to hurt your feelings.
I didn't think you would throw a barrel.
See, that's where you gotta anticipate. That's how we gotta learn how to fight.
I'll keep that in mind next time I fight it specifically in your house.
It's a lesson that carries through everywhere. Hey, do you want some dinner?
I guess. What happened to actual weapons? I mean, I got you this whole like knife thing just because I thought you liked these knife things, and apparently I should have gotten you like barrels and teacups and whatever that was, a compass instead.
She sort of sits up and goes, "Wait, you got me a knife?"
I hate you so much.
Was that to me or to her? I couldn't distinguish.
Both.
Cool.
Well, I mean, yeah, you're a pretty good teacher, and I just remembered I hadn't exactly been paying you for lessons or anything, and I don't know, yeah, unless you actually want to be paid in, actual gold, I guess.
She sort of laughs and says, "No, I quite enjoy our lessons, actually. Keeps me sharp as well, believe it or not."
You just enjoy beating my butt.
She laughs again, and she sort of like gently takes a dagger from you and says, "May I?"
What are you gonna do? Are you gonna stab me with it?
Yeah, I'm just gonna stab you in the face with it, just kind of end it all there, really put a dampener on the whole evening.
Well, I don't know, like maybe that's like the third lesson learned. Don't give your enemies a knife. I don't know.
Well, that is definitely a lesson, but right now, hopefully we're not enemies.
Okay, yeah,
Although in a future lesson, we will have to go over the fact that anybody can be an enemy
no,
at a moment's notice. No, that's later, we're done. The lesson's over for now, we can all relax. And she looks at the blade and goes, "This looks freshly forged, where'd you get this?"
From well, I guess he's technically not a weaponsmith. He just makes shovels and, pickaxes, but apparently he likes making armor as well.
You just got him to make me a dagger?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't exactly a big deal, so, don't think of it as anything you need to owe me for or anything. Is this
No,
weird?
it wasn't.
Am I being weird? Is this like a surface custom that you just don't give people daggers and it just means like something really important or like forsaken enemies or something like that?
She sort of stands up and she says, "I think it is extremely sweet of you to think of me and to get me a gift like this, and I really appreciate it."
You're welcome.
Now I gotta get you something, so I'll have to think about that.
What? No, you don't have to. It's a gift. You don't expect things in return for gifts. Unless this is
Right.
a surface thing. I don't know.
It isn't, but also, I'm gonna get you a gift.
You know what? I have never been able to stop you at doing anything.
That's
including
right.
Throwing barrels at me. So, I'm still
Well,
angry
you stopped the
about
barrel
that.
pretty well.
I am still angry about that barrel.
She's like, "Let's get some food in you, and we can discuss the best barrel dodging techniques I know."
You just punched the barrel. Okay, fine.
And you two go and have some dinner, and Zuz joins you as well. It's very nice. There's a lot of laughs that I had. She asks you about your entire past. I don't know how much you're willing to divulge.
Not just like bits and like just some funny anecdotes of just like
Mhm.
like I'd definitely tell her like I've never punched an ogre before. 100%.
When Zuz heard that, she goes, "No!" Ah,
I thought you said you didn't like me.
I was trying to get my arm big enough to punch ogres like you.
You can still punch barrels. I mean, like look at that, it exploded.
No, I'm not good enough to punch barrels yet.
You know, as long as you do a lot of reading, you will eventually be able to punch barrels. That doesn't.
Yes.
Yeah.
You just noticed, by the way, that Zuz around her neck is wearing sort of very ornate blue.
Fucking knew it!
It's not meant to be a neckerchief, but there's some kind of fabric that is
I
quite
knew
nice
it.
and quite striking.
I knew it! I knew it was
The
her!
last time you saw this was when Rami purchased it. As
I
far as you were
knew
aware,
it.
Rami didn't give it to this random kid.
I knew it was her! I didn't tell anyone, but like I literally was sitting here thinking the whole time, I bet it's that bratty little kid. Oh my god! I'm so sorry, but I knew that. Ugh.
That's perfect.
Good.
Michael would definitely look down look at look at Zeus, look at Wisha, look back at the neckerchief, look at Wisha again, and just not say anything.
Lovely. Beautiful. On that moment, we can take a break here. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. We will be back very soon
Alright, yeah. Talk to you in a bit.
for more tales.
Cool beans.
Cool
Beans.
beans.
We're back.
Hello,
we're
welcome
back.
back,
We're already
everybody.
Oh,
Okay.
Let's dive
Beans.
back in. Real quick, Micah, please roll a romance test.
Ooh.
Oh, the first one of the game.
Yeah,
Second
it's-
one of the game.
It's definitely.
She had
Oh,
to
second
do
one.
one when dancing with Wager as well.
Oh,
That's
that's
right. Second one
right.
of the game. We rolled so little that I didn't know where it was. I only got a 7, my dude. It's fine.
Oh boy.
Oh,
Would
dear.
you
boy.
like to conviction that
Yeah,
as well?
hell yeah. Let's just use a conviction.
Okay.
Oh wow.
All right.
Let's get that. Yeah, that's better.
Okay.
That's better. That's
Okay.
So
better.
10.
Better.
Yeah,
Okay.
That's solid. Middle of the road, you know?
Beautiful.
right there.
And still one stunt point to, do what you need to do.
I don't know, man.
At a bon mot or whatever it is. Yeah, you know what? When you leave, you say something that Wager finds extra. What's the word? Adorable.
Ooh.
Do I just trip and land flat on my face?
It could be whatever you want, but if that works.
That works.
She suddenly just invents the word adorkable in the Blue Rose setting.
Aw.
All right, very quickly. Jumping back over to Val's place.
Oh no.
Rami, did you leave
Oh,
at this
yes.
point, or did you come back? I forget.
No, I just found Micah suspicious, talked to her, and then I think I'm just kind of like, I don't know, Rami's in a weird head spot right now, so she's kind of like spaced out.
So did you return to Val's or not?
No, I think I am at Val's, but
Okay.
like just not really talking to anyone, just kind of
Just
like
hanging
spaced
out.
out in
Yeah,
a corner. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm sitting next to Card because he's a good people repellent. like,
Oh, my poor boy.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, he's kind of constantly talking to you about the interesting mineral that he saw today, and just like, now it could be that we're working with something that's gone undiscovered, but I think it is far more likely that due to the formation of the Icebinder Mountains, that's what we have found. And he's just going on and on and on. And you were paying attention for a bit for anything like juicy, interesting, and you realize, oh, there's none of that coming. Oh, you're just
so
on
I'm
this
just
train to the
doing
end.
the nice. Wow, that's really interesting. Tell me more about that. Is that so like when you're talking with your little cousin and they're like 5?
Yeah. And it's like, oh, I love agreeing about
Love
these
Winnie
things
the
I
Pooh.
don't
Yeah.
find interesting.
No, but like I feel mean. Like Ricard is really good, you guys. Like he's a great person, and I really like him as a character. And I'm not emphasizing him here at any point at all. That's not what I'm trying to do. It's more that Rami's just in a really really bad headspace, and is just not there fully to be able to respond right. It's not on him.
You
I
see
have
that?
a question though.
Oh,
Is
yes,
he
please.
is he like actually a geology nerd? Like is because if so, he should have been making a lot more dumb geology puns.
Geology
Okay.
rocks. No, he's
God
not.
damn
He's
it,
just
I hate that.
he's got a bit of knowledge in a few areas.
Okay.
You see as he's talking to you, Rami, you notice that his face goes sour very quickly, and he just stops speaking. And he kind of looks off to one side for a second.
Oh, hey, what's going on?
Uh-huh.
Ricard? What are we looking at?
Well, Esmir is right now. I could inform her if you like.
What?
Oh, he got a call.
Oh,
Rami, forgive me. I need to speak to Esmira.
why?
Lael just got in contact with me and would like some advice.
Oh, that seems extremely important. Okay, yeah, you
Yes.
should head out.
Lael is currently yelling at me for wasting my time speaking to you, as they've said.
Well, fuck them. I'm enjoyable.
I shall not repeat that back to Lael.
Oh no, you
and
can. You can. You very much can.
He walks over to Esmira, and at this point, like you'll see what's going on. And he says, "Esmira, Lael has just gotten in contact with me, and they have informed me that due to the stormy circumstances, they have not made as much progress as they had liked. To put it mildly, they used other words. I believe they are frustrated." And Esmira says, "Oh, poor Lael. They're just caught out there during all this. Well, is there something wrong? Are they okay? Should they come back?" And Ricard says, "They are at a crossroads, as I understand it. They don't know if they should hunker down and wait for the storm to pass, or use this storm as an opportunity to get very close and find the best information. Apparently, they can use the storm to their advantage." And Esmira says, "Oh, I see. My instinct would be to tell them to stay exactly where they are, but we do need information as soon as possible. And Esmira kind of looks around and sees that most of the council is here. So she kind of like pulls you all to one side, makes sure Ofeldo and Elsa and Elzani are not part of this conversation. And she tells you about what the situation is. And she says, I don't have a whole lot of experience out in the wilds. Blue, what do you think?
If they're sure that they can properly use the storm to their advantage, it's not as if that's not something that can be done, but their safety comes first. So I'd probably say hunker down. Though the storm should be clearing up in just what time is it now? Like maybe just
It's
like a few.
Evening at this point.
Yeah, just a few hours from now, it should be clearing up a little bit more.
Okay. Does anybody else have anything they would like to add?
A dead informant is a useless one. If they think they can do it with no harm from themselves, if they leave it up to them, it's their choice. But stress the fact that they're not useful to us dead.
I mean, that's a very specific way to put this.
Strange way to put it, I think.
I don't
Yes, I
think
should agree.
so.
Strange way to put it.
Is it strange?
It seemed
They're
very.
going to enemy lines and they're sitting there in the middle of the storm. It'd be very easy to slip off a cliff and fall. We can't get information that they're dead, and then people are sad when they're dead, and then I have to write a funeral and plan a funeral, and that's a lot of work for me, and I don't want to plan a funeral.
No, it just seemed very professional. I don't know, but I do agree.
Professional? Like I'm professional on dead bodies?
Well,
No, like,
blunt.
Oh.
It wasn't as pretty of a way of speaking as you're usually.
You hear Ricard just say, they're currently discussing it. I'll let you know when they come to a consensus.
I agree that it's not a good idea to just go barging into a situation here.
It's
Now, if
near-
there's someone else on the outskirts, that could be a good thing. Because here's the thing, if you find someone else wandering out a little bit, you could engage them pretty easily, and it would be decently safe to do so. That would be what I would have them aim for. If they are going to engage, do not go inside. Do not go into the main camp. Find someone on the outskirts.
Ricard, please tell Lael that we are very concerned about their safety during the storm. However, the storm will end. We have confirmed it from Blue within the next few hours. Obviously, Lael's health comes before anything else. If they truly believe they are skilled and ready enough to do so, they are Sovereign's finest initiates, and I fully trust them. And I know that they will do what is right for them. But at the same time, don't go taking any major risks. I think that's all. And Ricard says, I will convey that. I need to go home. And he just starts leaving.
So wonderful talking with you.
Make sure to stay dry at least a little.
He just goes out, gets soaked.
God damn it.
Has umbrellas not been invented yet?
Didn't I give him a cloak? What happened to it?
Yeah, you did.
You don't know what happened to the cloak. Mysteriously disappeared. Anyway, the night wraps up. Is there any last things any of you would like to do or say to each other? Now would be the time.
Night.
No, I'm just.
Yeah, good. That's a perfectly good one.
The two of you had something?
I was just going to say I start cleaning up after everyone.
That's a big mess. That's a big mess, unfortunately.
And I guess I check on Hannah and
Latzi.
Latzi. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going great. Latzi informs you that you have a very, very bright young daughter, and that she is very eager to learn. And while he has not taught many kids, he thinks he's been a bit spoiled by Hannah.
Good. Then I will, ask him to just try to tutor her when he has time, like set up a thing with Shanna so that they're not just, sitting in the house alone or whatever, have some kind of like babysitter system set up. I don't know.
You've already got something, firmly in place for that kind of stuff. Because this game wouldn't be particularly fun if it was daughter caring simulator. But yeah, you saw all that out. Akamu comes back from the books and he just informs you that he did not find a whole lot that was useful. But that's okay, because they can help feed his second sight to potentially find something useful later. And with that, everybody says goodnight, and the evening comes to a close. You wake up, and the water has finally stopped falling from the sky. Everything is soaked, but remarkably, the clouds have parted. You can finally see some blue again. And everybody is coming out.
I was going to say, but we see blue all the time.
Great.
But everybody in the village is coming out to finally enjoy a bit of sunlight. So, what's the plan for everybody?
Did we want to head to the mountain then?
I think we wanted to head to the
guess,
mountain.
yeah.
If we want to like regroup first, so that we talk to like the council first, just like let everyone know, like, hey, this
Yeah.
is our next step.
And
Until...
did they hear back from like Lyle? God, I
Lael?
cannot talk. Lael. Did they hear back from Lael? Are they alive? Are they okay?
Have not heard back from Lael yet.
Great.
But it's early in the morning, so...
Okay. So, I guess we let the council know then that we're heading out.
Okay, so you, just to
Horses,
reiterate,
gear
you're
up.
going to head off to the most western of the Icebinder Mountains that kind of looks over the village of Miniry, because there was a while back, Ricard noticed an unusual fog that was persisting just below its peak, and he believed that there was something there. And I think it was Rami who helped figure out there is something there. Don't know what it is.
The clouds
given-
looked fake. That's what she took from it.
Yes. The state of the wheels right now is probably going to be very sloggy and muddy, so you decided that this is the best way to go because you don't have to go through the wheel to investigate this thing very quickly. You do need to bundle up with a bit of cold gear, a bit of a few climbing supplies, maybe, because you are going up a mountain. It's one of the smallest, and it is, there are ways to get up there, but it is still going to be a bit taxing.
Yep.
So you were supplied with
Want
those
to
things.
climb a mountain, actually?
Oh, man.
Is there anybody you wanted to bring with you, or did you just want solely the action committee to deal with this?
Who would be...
I'm gonna go ahead and say Ricard is busy.
Yeah, Ricard would like to go, but he also is busy because he's like the Lael contact.
We can't just bring Ricard every time, even though we love him.
Yeah, he's great, but
He run out of Ricard tokens.
Can I bring Suna just because she
Hell
had
yes!
some issue of, like keeping up running, and I'm just like, she needs more drills.
Yeah, it turns out patrolling the small village of Miniry is not enough cardio for the watch. Yeah, absolutely.
Is this to the northwest or like the southwest?
This is to the northwest, yes.
Okay, I was actually thinking maybe Alzani would be a good person to bring, because although Blue is going to be good for scouting ahead, Alzani would be more familiar with this terrain because he travels through.
On a horse.
He's used to the
Right.
flats and the plains of Rosea, whereas this is straight.
Okay,
You're straight
never
up
mind.
going up a mountain at this point. He can't bring his
Never
horse,
mind.
sadly.
But do you mind if I bring Suna? We don't have to.
Oh, bring Suna.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
yeah.
Sounds
We're
great.
here for it.
I
So you
never
all
told-
assemble. You all assemble. The ground is completely soaked, but it's not soaked on you, so that's nice. And Micah comes out of the guard place, and Suna like appears, and she's in brand new gleaming armor, and she's like, "Look at this, proper city watch at this point. Look at that."
Great. Now we're gonna try to
Lord.
break it in, and you're gonna have to get used to the weight because we're climbing a mountain today. Let's go.
I'm
All right,
gonna say this is not a good full plate isn't very good
It's
for
not full
mountaineering.
plate. It's like
Okay.
a plate. Yeah.
Okay.
And she's like, "Fire orders, Cap. Let's go. Should I bring all the other guards with us?"
Ooh.
Yes!
just a real quick. They are considered the garrison, so if something bad happens, you kind of need those people here to
Half,
deal with
take
it.
half,
That
take
was-
half.
I'll take
They need
half.
to be
You'll
all
take half the people.
If something happens, we need them here.
just the thing. So
And again, I'm not saying you can't do this. I just want to reiterate, they are not exactly really good at what they do, so they kind of need every hand they can get. But if you want to do this, you can absolutely do this. I will not stop you.
Oof.
if
Sorry.
we do find people up there, I don't really want to post like, oh, we're like
A
this. invaded.
military threat.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah,
your
I'll just
top
bring Suna.
4. Maybe like your top 4, you can bring like a couple with them. People who are like your like elite squad.
I don't think there's any elite.
I think
Maybe
Suna's it.
Maybe your like
This
worst
is-
4. Just bring
Des
them along.
has murdered a lot of chaos beasts apparently.
Oh, can we
Des
bring
is also
Des?
cursed.
Do
Des-
you wanna bring
yes.
Des is
We can
also
bring
cursed.
Des.
Oh.
Des is
I don't
also
know
cursed.
about that.
I will
Des also
ask
has
Des.
no
I'll be
armor.
like, hey Des, if you want to come, but you're
Oh,
actually not
no.
under
When he-
my under
Yeah.
me in any sense. So
You
don't
go
maybe
back
lock
into the
you?
guardhouse. You see that Des is sprawled over one of the small cots. Both her calves are just kind of over the edge, arms splayed out. She is fast asleep, and you ask her if she wants to go anywhere, and she kind of looks up at you and goes, "No, I don't want to go anywhere right now."
fair enough. All right, let's go, Suna. You have to go.
And Suna goes, "Wait, no, Cap." All right, fine. Here we go.
Okay, just bring Suna. Don't worry, we're not bringing the whole garrison up.
I'm
What if
like
you
here
did?
for it though.
What if you did,
yeah,
though?
but you're also an
I
agent of
kinda
chaos.
want to.
Thomas, you told me not to, and then you're just like.
I explicitly said you didn't have to not to.
If we wanted to go for peak
If you
chaos,
want
we
to,
could
you
take
can.
Elzar.
We could.
Why are we taking
Also-
Elzar? Why are we taking
Why
a
would we
boyfriend
take him?
anywhere?
No, I just said if you wanted to go for peak chaos, that is what we would do.
Oh.
I think
Oh.
peak chaos would be like Elzar, Ricard at the same time, plus all of the goons in the army, and then Pyre, but it's just Rami and Pyre the whole time, so we're optimizing the amount of chaos that we can create. Like,
Well, let's just go before we get any other fun
You are all in
ideas.
positions
Yeah.
of power, trusted by the people of this village.
Oh boy,
right,
yeah, let's just
um,
go.
So you set out, you're all suited up in your various gear and packs. Micah, you're probably carrying the majority of the stuff, and it is no.
Oh, you muted, Thomas.
Oh, you just went out.
And it probably doesn't matter. You make your way to the tunneling area, and Micah, you know this sort of region the best out of anybody here, so you're kind of taking charge of the navigation here. So I would love you to make a navigation test. Blue for once is not the one.
I'm
Yeah,
not
I was gonna say,
navigating.
but
I know,
navigation
this
is
is so
Blue's
weird.
thing. Ah! 16. We are not lost.
Oh, nice.
Thank
Yes,
God.
because the Kainite Kingdom is located sort of along this way. You know every little crevice, every little pathway that you can use to go up the easiest. Easiest for you, maybe. But no, you find a path that everybody can handle more or less. Sort of very quickly starts panting, as do probably all of you, because I don't think you're used to climbing, extremely
oh, I have
mountains.
a -1 in strength and a -2 in constitution.
Oh,
I am
Rami,
having
you're
a
doing
really
so
bad.
bad.
time.
You're doing so bad
God.
right now.
I'm just like staring.
Blues.
I
Doing
was
fine.
trained for
I
like
mean-
ballrooms, not for mountaintops.
We've been walking for 15 minutes.
Just one break, Cap. Just a real quick break.
We
What
have
if we
alright.
just
2
stop
hours to go.
forever?
I don't know at this pace.
Like
We
Ravi and Suna
just-
are just like holding each other up at this
Just
point.
stop forever.
We don't have to move. We can just stop here. We can make a new civilization. The 6 of us.
There's already a civilization here. Go find another mountain.
Also, we are all women! Except for
Oh.
Blue!
What does being a
Fine.
woman have to do with anything? I'm stronger than my brother. Hello.
So you keep on going.
No.
You all get your second wind, more or less, and continue along the way. Micah, you have entered a region that you're not necessarily too familiar with, but you know stone, you know mountains. You are able to find a very good path for everybody to walk up, where you're not really forced ever to climb any sheer cliffs with your climbing equipment ever. You usually can find something to hoist yourself up on. You have to like reach down and pull people to come with you as well. And it is really just like holding complete dead weight as you lift people to follow you as well.
Except for Blue. Blue is just flying.
Just fly.
Blue's having a great time.
If I can't fly, I'll just sit on someone's shoulder. It's
Lovely. Blue, why don't you make a perception test with seeing if you have it while you're just flying around, seeing what's going on. And the rest of you, why don't you make a strength climbing test?
Oh, y'all are
Oh,
gonna.
this is gonna be so bad.
Oh no. You
Eight!
guys.
Cerami got an 8.
I have
Okay.
3
So
stuck
now-
points
Fun.
though.
Love it.
Yeah, got a
Where
12.
is it?
Also another
12.
That's
8.
an
Michael.
8.
Should I roll for
All right.
Suna?
Yes, please. So let's do 3d6 plus 1 for Suna. And
She also
she
got a
got-
Use
12.
conviction.
Nice.
Hold on.
Excellent. You want to use conviction for this, Val?
Yeah. Okay,
What does that bring you to?
that's
That brings her to
11?
11.
11. Okay. So, Rami, I've got bad news for you.
Do I die and get out of my misery?
You are now fatigued, which is a -2 to all your rolls.
Great.
And you
Great.
recover from being fatigued by taking 4 hours of rest.
Holy
Oh
crap.
my god. You know, that's
I
fair.
remember being fatigued. It was the worst.
Val, you are winded, which is a -1 to all tests until you get a 5-minute breather. And everybody else is fine. Oh, Asuna is also fatigued.
Why do I
That's a
even
12?
come on this?
Yes, 12.
Oh, okay.
Oh, sorry, it's 12 now.
While
She's
we're
fine.
No, yeah.
If I don't know if this would help at all, but can I use my newfound wind shaping ability to
Okay.
like help lift people?
I thought you were going to say enhance ability to make you stronger.
I thought you
Oh,
were-
that too! I
thought
could
you were
do
gonna
that.
say use the winch of your ability to catch your breath, cause. But sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh
I was
boy.
thinking Mike can make some rock joke while everybody's just like, can't move.
I can't cast enhancement on myself, remember?
Correct, but you do have
Yeah.
many allies.
I know, but if I cast it, then they're also going to have a negative after it wears off.
Sure.
Probably not.
So
So maybe the wind shaping would be kind of cool.
yeah.
While you're thinking about that, Blue, as you're flying above and keeping an eye out for threats,
Mhm.
you know that mountain lions aren't uncommon, and you also know that there are, roving bands of bandit-like folk who are said to hide in these mountains.
Those are-
You see nothing like that. This particular peak seems quite devoid of life for the most part. Like there's a few shrubs here and there, and that's about it.
like strangely devoid of life, or like
No, not really. You're
Okay,
used
cool.
to when you climbed, when you did your sort of pilgrimage to the Sky Galloper Shrine, you also noticed a similar kind of thing of just like, some animals don't do well here. You do spot a goat that's just sort of hanging out, kind of precariously standing on an edge. It sort of looks at you and regards you, chews at one of the shrubs, and just keeps going on with its life.
feels like a normal goat, not a red goat.
Well, who can truly say?
Who can
You
say?
notice with your perception check, you notice no adornment on it, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's not a right goat.
And it's like a normal sized goat, but I'm also a
is.
normal size.
It's a little bigger than a normal sized goat. I
It
almost
could
said
just
ghost.
be a large goat.
Is it a very large goat like my peacock?
It is not a horse-sized goat. No.
Well, quick
I
way
mean,
to find
I think
out.
they're pretty big. You know,
I'll just-
like
I'll try and make a contact to say hello.
Okay. So you flutter down to this goat. It's sort of chewing. Meh.
Okay. Anything happening in there?
Meh.
Cool. It was nice meeting you, Mr. Goat. And then he'll up and away.
Okay. You flutter back down to everybody else. You report your findings.
Found a goat over there.
And for this final leg of
That's
scaling this mountain, I'd like everybody to make a stamina test, which is Constitution.
Oh,
my gosh.
Ramy's gonna die.
So Rami, that's
Remy,
a 9.
no.
12 from me.
12 for you.
Wait, this is stamina.
Stamina,
wait,
Constitution.
Where is this? Constitution. Okay, 1 second.
Suna's dead. She rolled a 6.
Oh, Blue, you're good. You don't have to make any tests.
Oh, cool. I wasn't sure. Like
You're fine.
hair's different or something.
Well,
Cool.
that's a fair. It's not noticeably thinner. Okay, so let's see. Val got a 10. Micah got a 12, and Rami got a 9.
Suna got
Oh,
a
my
6
dear sweet.
without modifiers.
Don't
My
forget
dear
you
sweet
have
action committee.
What is it?
Conviction?
Conviction. Yes.
I
If
do
you
have
want to, yes.
conviction, but I also feel like it very much fits Rami to not be good at this. So I try when like they're supposed to fail at things. I try to let my characters fail at the stuff they're supposed to.
Oh, okay.
So Val, you are now fatigued, which means -2 to everything until you get a 4-hour rest.
Yep.
Micah, you are now winded, which means -1 to everything until you get a 5-minute rest. Rami, you are now exhausted, -4 to everything until you get
Oh my god.
Mhm.
Why am I here?
6 hours of sleep.
Why did I come? This is not.
How bad is she looking? Like.
I mean, like a person who just had to climb a mountain who has had no sort of training beforehand.
Side note:
I've
when we
been
talked
where
about
Rami
this, we
is.
originally talked about only sending Blue, and I feel like it was for this reason.
Yeah.
But I will say, after all the agony that is moving up this peak, you finally reach what seems to be the apex of where you're trying to get to. You get to sort of the fog cloaked area. And based on what you've seen in the past, Rami, you believe if you just kind of skirt around this a little bit, you'll get to the entrance or the passageway that you saw that one time on a boat with Ricard.
The weird stuff is over. It's over there. Why am I here?
Soda
Defense.
says, Cap, I can't go on. You can't leave me. Just bury me here.
Do you two want to take a second to just?
Can I please take off the breastplate, Cap? I think.
Aw.
No, I gotta keep it on. That's what the old goat want me to do. Okay, we got this. Ah!
You know the
God damn
goat?
it.
She knows the
What?
Oh,
Hey,
man.
Gray, I adore you. That was so funny.
Should we take a 5-minute break for Suna at least?
Yeah, let's take a breather. Maybe we should do a full 4 hours.
You wanna do
I don't
4
know.
hours on
6
the-
4
hours?
hours up
Let's just 6 hours. Why not sit the full 6 hours? Let's go.
I mean, yeah, that's true.
I
Like
mean, we might as
how?
well
Well,
Oh,
sorry.
in
You
at
need 6
that
hours
point.
of sleep to recover from it.
Oh.
I'll just go. We'll just sleep here on
This
this
is
rock.
not a good
Sounds
place.
great.
I mean, the door is like right
what
there. We
time
could just
is it?
go.
What time is it? Boy, honestly, given your progress, it's taken a while for you to get here. It's
my God.
probably lunchtime.
People have always talked about climbing a mountain like it was a fun, inspirational thing. Those fucking posers, this is the worst.
No, I'm inspired. I'm inspired to never climb a mountain again.
You're here.
I was actually thinking of taking the garrison up here at some time. It seems like good training. Good workout, right, Suna?
Yeah, just leave someone else in charge of it. Okay, Cap. She just goes straight on her back like a turtle.
Oh dear.
Well, I guess, like, Micah's just looking around. You know, if we punch straight down here for a few hundred feet, this is actually where my house is.
Your house is nowhere near this place. Sorry.
Should we? So I guess we could rest here. Is there like moss? Does moss grow on mountains?
There is, but not here.
What?
You're too far up.
Okay.
We're like,
I mean, we
Beyond the
have
tree line.
rations and stuff, I would assume, so...
You got like trail mix. You're not adventurous.
Oh,
You don't have.
well.
You know.
I don't think we
We're
have
just
to
a
be
simple
camping.
town.
You're a
council.
simple town of villages. Yeah.
I assumed we packed, at least lunch and dinner.
Yeah,
you
you got a nice
know.
picnic basket filled with
At least Val did. Like,
This
At
is-
least
Yes.
cheese and bread. I mean,
Yeah.
come on.
yeah.
That's fair.
Uh,
No
Um,
hard tack.
Well, in that case, if we want, maybe Rami and Suna, you two could stay here for a bit while me, Blue, and Val, we can, go investigate a bit
And
further.
then find out fucking clouds are fake.
Wait,
Came all the way up here, and we're gonna We're gonna figure it out, and then I'm never going to walk anywhere again. That is
if it
my-
makes you feel better,
Well, we have to go back down.
the back down is way easier than back up, though.
Hey,
So
it's
many
not
bad
a demon
decisions,
possessed
Mommy.
swamp. You know, you guys are doing pretty good so far.
Did we have a demon?
Did we have a demon
Oh.
possessed?
Those
Did that
things?
happen for us?
When did that happen?
Where's the demon
That-
possessed swamp?
Can I go there? It's not uphill.
Calm down. Okay, we're taking a 5-minute break for now, right? We're not gonna stay here for another 4 hours. The mountains are cold. They have wolves. They have eder caps. Mountains are kind of scary on the outside. Inside, pretty good. Still, I don't have time to dig a cave right now, so we'll take a break.
Let's just take a lunch break. I start distributing the food.
Okay. You take you probably take what, 30 minutes, an hour, just to get all the breath back, get some food in you. Unfortunately for Rami, it helps a bit, but ultimately you're still just to your core have been shaken. So yeah, if you have a level 1 fatigue, you can get rid of that. Anything greater than that, however, sorry, level 1 winded is what it's called. Level 2 is fatigue.
Yeah.
So if you're winded, you can get rid of that. Everything else, unfortunately, stays.
So,
Nope.
how
Yes.
shall we come? How far is the top from here now?
Sorry. The absolute top of the peak is still about 100 meters or so.
Alright, you're
We
gonna
need to go to the absolute top.
You don't need to go to the absolute top, no.
Okay,
Or how
let's just.
far is the magic thingy then?
You just need to find a way, which you could probably find a pathway that just kind of scoots around the peak, and you're basically there. Compared to what you've had to do up to this point, it's a quick jaunt. And it's not
Okay.
going up, it's just going horizontal, so that's something.
Yeah.
Okay.
We should
Alright.
just ban mountains from existing.
What? I live in one!
We also, I mean,
Cultural
they're just part of
sensitivity!
nature.
You're right. I'm
Sick.
sorry. I'm sorry.
Could you shape a path around? Or I could just fly. I guess me just flying around doesn't exactly help because you guys have to get there too.
It's not that far. It looks pretty clear. We should be fine to just go.
Okay,
Yeah.
last little bit. I believe in you. I'm just like
All right.
grabbing Rami and I guess Suna, like holding
Suna's
them,
okay at this
supporting them
point.
both.
Wait,
So
wait,
this-
can
it is
I
like,
have another
fine.
piggyback? Micah, can I have a piggyback?
She's like looks at all the climb gear that she has on her back already. I guess.
Okay, we can leave the gear here and come back for it. Yay.
All
So
right.
you start to make your way around the mountain, and very quickly, there's a very light breeze that suddenly turns into a wall of wind that just hits you immediately, and it is blowing directly against you and down. Everybody, please make a strength might
Wait,
test.
wait, no! I have a thing!
Oh.
I have wind shaping!
Oh, what? All right.
Let's do this.
So I'll let you go first, Val. So you're trying to alter the speed of the wind right now.
Yes.
It is currently blowing extremely hard. The better you roll, the more you can reduce the wind.
Okay.
So it is currently hurricane force.
Oh,
Holy
here.
moly.
here we go.
And
I'm
again,
gonna-
I want to specify
That is a 20.
oh, nice.
Wow.
So I believe it's for every point of outcome you can reduce the wind. And I don't know what the test is, so that doesn't help.
Base level is 9, and then I think
It's
it
9.
goes up by like
Is it every 2 is
Yeah.
okay. So that means you have an outcome of 10,
Okay.
which means you can turn this wind into a wind that will destroy the universe, or you can snuff it out completely.
I would just like to make it completely calm, and I need to make a fatigue test.
Yes, you do. You will notice that as you are hit by these strong forces, Val quickly puts out her arms, and the wind
That is
just
a failure.
stops.
Ooh.
And then Val collapses. So
I
Val,
am now exhausted.
you're now exhausted. Great. So Val is
Welcome
falls
to the
her
party.
knees.
Oh dear.
Welcome to the club. There's room on Micah's back. We can vote it.
There's
No.
no. Micah's back.
She's been like this before. This is nothing new. This is actually better than the last time that she was like this, probably. So we're just going.
Okay. You scramble to your feet and you keep making your way down the edge of this peak. And as you do so, everybody make a perception test using either hearing or seeing.
-4 to that.
With minus, with the negatives as
16,
appropriate.
15 for
Oh,
13.
yeah.
13. Rami?
Yeah, I think
9.
17 take away 4.
9.
17, 16.
So Blue, looks like you got highest with a 14.
Nice job, Blue.
Good job, Blue.
It
Blue is
feels so
hard
encouraging.
carrying.
I'm sorry, guys.
So at this point, you have gone into the massive clouds that permeate this place, and they are sort of gently swirling around you. Blue, you notice that one of the clouds breaks away and starts floating towards your group.
Guys, there's a cloud floating towards us. Would I? Is this at all like? Oh, that's wind shaping maybe, or like?
You can make a natural law or an arcana test
I shall try.
with your intelligence to
Just
determine the nature
The
of this.
fake clouds are back, gang.
That's a
Ooh, that's
17
pretty
with
good.
natural lore though, so I'm not sure.
Your experience with these things is not necessarily you haven't had a lot of experience with these things, but you do recognize a air elemental when you see one.
Oh.
Air elemental? That's a
Oh.
Guys, there's an air elemental coming towards us. That's interesting. Look at that.
I drop
Oh.
Rami and then pull out a weapon.
Whoa.
we-
Is it bad? Is it bad? Do we need to get rid of it? How do we get rid of it?
As far as I know, not necessarily. We can just talk to it, I believe.
Yeah, just to clarify what you know about elementals, Blue, they are manifestations of spirits, and spirits are things that it's just when arcana naturally occurs, it can shift and move, and when it happens to make those when it happens to be concentrated a lot in one area, that's when a spirit can appear, and they kind of like go in and out of life, very much just part of nature. You know
I'm in
that.
spirit now, so this is.
Yes, you know
Yeah.
that they are not really intelligent. They are effectively animals. They don't do much beyond their own instincts, and any arcana used to sort of command them as well. Yeah, that's what you know about air elementals.
Okay. So you can't. It kind of described it as if you could like communicate with them on a level. Could I talk to this one, or is it like just coming towards us menacingly? Is there?
It's a cloud floating towards you, so I'll let you interpret that how you.
It's very yeah, guys, it's just an air elemental. I think I'm not too concerned, though. It's interesting that it's here.
No, the cloud was not a real cloud, and I was right. Ha!
Well, I don't think this one is the whole cloud.
Well,
So it means that this is a sort of like a nexus of powerful magic. In order for this to be here.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Not necessarily, but
And there's no way that we can talk to it.
I mean, you can do whatever you would like. It is getting closer by the second.
someone just say hi. Just shout hi. Hi!
It does not respond, but it does keep going closer.
Maybe we should just continue walking. What if we just ignore the cloud?
I guess.
it's rude.
That
Well,
does
I
seem-
said hello.
It can't
It
talk?
can't talk. It doesn't have a mouth.
Okay,
What
well,
happens if I start moving towards it?
When you start moving towards it, there's a sudden sort of change in the air, the sort of static, and suddenly there is a very dark portion of cloud that forms on this air elemental, and like a whip, it whips Val right in the chest. What's your defense, Val?
I was not expecting that. What is it? 11.
Right in the chest. And there's like a burst of electricity that goes off, and Val, I'm afraid you are going to take 10 points of damage.
Oh my
So
god.
much.
Oh lord.
Oh dear. Oh,
Oh, this is bad.
Run.
Down the mountain?
It is
Down the
behind you currently. It is blocking the path down.
In the mountain.
I am the mountain!
Okay.
You quickly all turn around and start running. Everybody make a dexterity test. I don't know if running is focus or not, but if
I
it is,
believe
then-
that's stamina.
Oh, then never mind. Everybody make a Constitution running test.
No!
Sorry. That's -6
I'm
for Rami.
sorry.
oh dear.
Oh, that's like a 0 for me at this
6.
point.
Cool.
0 for Val. Okay.
12 minus 4, 11, 10, 9. It's bad. It's
Okay.
stupid bad.
This is how I
Suna
die,
has a 9.
apparently.
A 9. Okay.
Is
So
there a stunt that I
basically,
can help them with. Is that?
yeah,
that-
go ahead and think about that as I explain
Mhm.
what's happening next. Basically, all the fatigue people, like, you'll start running, and for some of you, make one step that's very fast and then immediately slow down because you realize you've already expended so much of your energy today. The elemental comes back around, and this time, Rami, it is kind of sending a thing at you. This sort of dark cloud lightning whip at you. Does a 12 hit you?
My defense is 13?
Then no, you quickly anticipate the crackling lightning, and as it kind of flies above you, you muster up the energy needed just at the last second to duck underneath, and you are not hit.
Oh boy.
Then you hear the elemental going,
Oh no.
No.
and I need Suna, Rami, and Val to make strength might tests.
He's so bad.
This is so not great for me. This is a
Suna
very
rolled-
bad place.
Suna
I should
Whoa!
have just stayed
10,
home.
Suna is fine.
9.
So I'm in the negatives because I rolled a 4, but I have a -4.
Oh my
So-
god.
Good
Mm.
lord.
Rami!
Rami goes down faster than anything you've seen. Just bam, like that. Slams down onto the mountain edge. Val, you're also knocked down. Suna manages to stay upright. And she's like, "Oh, Cap, did you see that?" But Val and Rami, you are both a bit disoriented at this point, and this terrifying elemental is still looming above you. What does everybody do?
Oh my god. This
Is there? How much does the cloud count as water?
Oh, we're about to get into some very interesting things, aren't we? How much do you want it to be water? How much of it
just
do you
need,
it to be
like,
water?
Hold on. We can
enough-
Google this.
No, we're not googling anything.
enough cloud water to form like the shape of a body. Because that's how much the summoned spirit describes. It's like you need enough to make a body.
So you want to make a water elemental. You don't want to just make an air one.
I can't because I don't have wind shaping.
Oh, right.
Yes.
Wait, you
So
can
you're
make one
asking
with-
me. Let me just clarify. You're asking me if you can use the air elemental's body to make a water elemental.
No, just like the other clouds around.
The other clouds. Okay,
The
so those
other
aren't
clouds.
living things. So you know what? If you ordinarily, it's not going to be enough. But if you roll like with an outcome of 4, let's say, then it will work.
Okay. Also, alternatively, is there any plants around?
No.
Are there enough?
No,
No
above
plants.
the
Go
Okay.
ate them all.
Gonna
Cut
have
back to the goat that just
God
looks up
dang it.
sinisterly.
Okay. Here goes a attempt at summon spirit.
This is the first time Blues used a spell like this, I believe.
That's an 11.
Conviction.
Well, did I get stun points from that or no? Because there's 3.
If you fail, then you don't. Oh, actually, do you? Then yes, you do get stun points.
Okay, then I would have enough to. I need an outcome of 4. Can I do that? I get
Let's
1
say of
from
3.
skinful channeling, and then +1 if I use it for powerful channeling,
Mhm.
and I have 3, so I have 4, and I can use those 4 to make it a 15. That would not be high enough, but if I use a conviction point,
If you can roll above a 3,
Eh.
can you roll above a 3?
If believe in you, Gray. You got this.
That makes it a 16, which is an outcome of
Oh yeah.
16.
right. So that's enough, right?
I don't know. You need a 15 to build the body, and I needed an outcome of
Of
wait.
3,
Yeah.
which means you need an 18.
Oh no.
I'm looking for this spell. Where are you?
man.
Which means
Yeah, I don't think it would. Or I guess okay. So the base number is 11.
the base was 11.
Yes, but it gets for summoning a health 4D spirit. Oh no,
Magic
that's
is
just
not-
describing things. The base number is 11. That's how much you need to summon a spirit.
And a water elemental is drawn out of the clouds that surround you currently. And what shape does this water elemental? What form is it? What are we looking at, Blue?
I think it's also kind of cloudy, except instead of a cloud, it's more of a mist. It's the only way you can describe it, because I'm just pulling the mist together from the cloud.
Okay.
to make- If it was more water, I'd probably have a more watery form, but no, it's just mist.
Fair
He's
enough.
just trying his best.
So you create this mist elemental by drawing on the spirits, and they answer your call for aid. And immediately, this mist spirit just collides with the air elemental, and the two of them just start exchanging blows. It's a bit hard to tell what's exactly happening because they're both just cloudy things
Mhm.
going like this a whole bunch. You get a feeling that the slight spark and lightning that the air elemental is using is not necessarily your water elemental's favorite thing to be struck by.
Let's just get out of here.
Let's just
Yeah,
leave while we
I
have
just-
this brief
I'm so
chance.
sorry to the water elemental. The air elemental's mean. Thank you though. And I just leave. I
Okay.
guess. I need to
Rami
roll a
and
fatigue
Val.
test, though.
Yes, you do. You scramble to your feet. The adrenaline is starting to kick in at this point, so you're able to start moving. You're fine, Blue. Wait, opposite.
No, I think I made it better, so I'm not fine now. I'm winded.
Okay, you're winded too. And you all start running. And you run and run. Mikey, you're taking sort of the lead. You're making sure that everybody has some sure footing to stand on. And you're kind of at the very sort of precipice of the mountain right now. Ideally, at this point, you would put some stakes into the stone and wrap a rope around it and use that to move people across. Are you going to take the time to do that, or are you just going to run across this edge and hope for the best? Bear in mind that the putting the stakes in is going to take a very long time, and you don't.
Bear in mind I have a -4 to
Yeah.
everything.
I also have a -4.
How wide is this precipice kind of thing?
It's about 2 or so feet at a slight angle.
Okay.
That's not
So can I just
terrible.
can I just not throw people across? Like as soon as I get there, just like chuck them across.
It's going around, so
Oh,
you would
that's
have
a
to
shame.
put
Okay.
so much spin on them, which Micah might be able to do, which is why I'm afraid to let you roll for that.
I mean, like, if she uses stone shaping, like,
Yeah, I'll probably
you could
use
just
something
put the pittons in.
I was just gonna do that instead. So I have craft stone, which is craft small areas of stone to desired shapes. So craft like footholds, handholds, maybe a little
Useful.
bridge. Yeah.
Excellent. Just a little bunch of knobbly bits to stick out that everybody can grab onto.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead and make that roll.
Yeah. 13.
You succeed. Is that so? Yeah, make a fatigue test as well. And you see that Micah just kind of slams her hand into the stone, and then rippling out of it, a bunch of rocks come out, and you're able to basically just weave through that with a rope, just in case anybody needs it, and you can all start making your way across.
I don't think I'm fatigued. I rolled 14.
You're not fatigued. Well done.
Good job.
Oh my god. Let's go. Get out of here.
Oh boy.
And you hear the sound of just like these two elementals behind you. There is just these sounds of wind just and lightning echoing across the top of this mountain. But you make your way around, and very quickly, as you kind of crest the edge of where you're going to, you see that there is now this massive, completely unnatural rectangle that is just in this peak, hollowed out. Which is to say, you can just very quickly step inside if you want to, but it is a structure of some description.
Hello?
Like a cube or like a tunnel?
It is basically, imagine just somebody has exuded a massive cuboid, and there's just this big hole there now.
Okay, cool.
So you can step inside, and you've got a ceiling and walls. It's completely pitch black inside. Rami, are you yelling hello?
Yeah, just in case there's someone there.
Yeah, there's somebody there. You
Okay,
notice
good.
that in the darkness, there are two flames that ignite, and then they raise up and look, and you see a series of other flames igniting, and other creatures moving in this darkness, and they start to move towards you.
This is how we die.
This is bad.
Is it? I
Are
mean,
these
I don't-
more elementals?
You can make a arcane or natural law test if you would like.
Blue, please.
Do it with -2 because it's hard to make out their exact details at this point. And that's in addition to any fatigue you have.
Well, I mean, so yeah, that would be a total of -6, and I just got a 9, so...
Your mind is racing right now, and you are very tired.
thank
it's hard
you,
for you to
Blue.
really think of
Blue got a
anything.
17.
Blue,
4 stun points.
Blue
Blue,
has
you
been
are-
carrying us from session 1. Let's be real.
Blue, you are winded, right?
Yes, so I think
So
I'm
it's 16.
Oh,
16.
1. Cool.
Okay, yeah, Blue. These are not elementals.
Okay, they're not elementals, which is not exactly like better, I think. Are you gonna
And-
talk? Hello?
You hear a voice come out from the darkness. All the eyes, or the flames, I should say, that are moving towards you halt. And when you yell that, there's a bit of a pause, and then you hear, "We have not spoken for some time."
Blue, I'm so sorry. That must be terrible for you. Now is a great time to speak if you like. Have any stories to
Can
tell?
we just hurry up and get inside?
No, let's not go inside. My gosh.
Did the Empress send you?
No.
What Empress?
Which Empress who?
The voice speaks out. And you can see that there's just across the sort of the flaming eyes in this place, some of them sort of looking around at each other, as well as at you. And the voice says, "The Empress of Thorns."
Oh,
Oh.
Jesus.
I know who that is. Do you know who that is, Mom?
Everybody who's interested can make a history test with their intelligence.
Would cultural lore work?
Could this also be
Cultural
religious
lore.
lore?
Cultural law, no.
Yo, you two
Religious
have
law.
a -4.
no.
I don't know if anything will work.
Maybe natural lore. I don't know.
Let's just see. 10.
It's straight up history. 10. Who got the highest?
I got a 16.
You got a
I
16?
got a 13 with 5 stunt points. Oh, 16. Yeah, that.
Well, interesting. Okay. So just to get this clear, Micah is the one who knows the most about this.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, let's very quickly brainstorm why that is.
Sarik, maybe?
No,
Great
okay.
Mountain?
I think I've got it.
She
Okay.
found a book and she just read it.
I think so. Yes, Micah. Of course, you know who the Empress of Thorns is because you did your diligence when it came to research about the surface dwellers, and you know that some of the most renowned and most terrifying sorcerers of all time came from a time known as the Empire of Thorns, which was ruled by a woman called Delsha the First, and she was a very evil, corrupted empress who ruled with an iron fist and was just generally a very bad person. And from that, it resulted in the Shadow Wars, where all sorcerers basically turned on each other.
Maybe we should leave.
Yeah,
I
I'm
tell people
starting
this.
to really.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we could be with the Empress if you're friends
No.
with the Empress, and if you're not friends with the Empress, then we're not friends with the Empress. So, what are you?
You come to punish us.
No, I don't actually know who you guys are.
Yeah, what's your name?
We don't need names. I want to know what they
Why
are.
are you
The-
here?
The two flaming eyes in the center move forward, getting closer and closer to the light being let in around you. And you see a rather somewhat humanoid form, very tall, very broad, composed of mostly shadow and smoke, as far as you can tell. They have bits of armor on them that look like they just meld into them and meld back out again. And this creature's head is just perpetually exuding smoke. And indeed, you can only see one of their eyes, as one side is always having smoke come off the top of it. And as she steps forward, she says, "I am Taerix."
Wonderful
Who?
to make your acquaintance. I'm Rami Lawfred.
And why are you here?
The
Rami?"
clouds looked fake, and I wanted to know why.
Hmm.
I suppose that was your doing. If you want to have fake clouds, you do, you love. Wonderful to make your acquaintance. Shall we leave?
He says, "Not so fast, Rami.
Yes, Rami Lawfred.
Rami Lafred." And she steps closer, and as soon as she does, you all start to hear these guttural whispers in your mind.
I don't like that, Thomas.
Nope.
So I'll just go through one by one. Blue, you hear, "They will only steal and exploit. They have no respect. Any good done will pale in comparison to the evils wrought. You must keep it. Every secret, every shred of knowledge, they have not earned any of it." Micah, you hear, "You must stay silent. You must keep your head down. Do not offer help. Do not be a hero. You only betray your family. If you die, you cannot be the cause of your people's demise." And Rami, you hear, "You've seen cruelty. You've seen honor. You know it is all pointless. You know there is nothing worth saving. Only she can make it worthwhile. You would burn it all down for her. You've already given so much. You know order can only be born from the ashes of chaos." And Val, you hear, "There is only one way to stop the danger. Silence is quickly attained with blood. They have made you compliant and weak. Why do they get to throw around their power? Why is it always you that has to take the high road? Your fury is so powerful and you deny what it could do for you." And it is fair to say that these whispers are somewhat distracting. It seems like this creature, Taerix, she called herself, was saying something. Oops, sorry, I spelled that wrong. Was saying something, but sort of the shock and surprise of the whispers made it a bit difficult for you to really focus on any of that. And the whispers are kind of on a loop in your
They
mind.
are. Okay. Cool. I'm gonna try to do a morale check at negative, whatever I know.
Well, hold on. Don't roll anything yet. What exactly are you doing?
Well, I'm gonna talk louder than the whispers.
I am of the firm belief that Rami can talk louder than any person she wants to, so you don't need to roll anything.
Oh, okay. Cause I'll just start telling a bedtime story instead. Like, I am very aware of how to isolate emotions and isolate feelings and people and personalities. So I am going to isolate these whispers and put them somewhere else and focus on something else. Instead, I'll tell a bedtime story very loudly to myself, so I'm not focusing on that anymore.
Okay. Why don't you make a willpower test to see if you're able to do that very well?
Can I do it as a morale? Because I'm trying to make myself happier and make other people happier by also telling
The
them
morale
bedtime story.
focus kind of focuses on other people,
That's
but if you're saying
fair.
it out loud, are you kind of
Yes.
like just
I'm trying to help them too.
then yes, you can do that. It is probably very strange for everybody else to just hear you do this, but if it works, it works.
It
Oh,
works
it works!
great. Minus
dear.
4, or -4 though still.
Minus
But
4, so that's 16.
But
That's
5
still,
stunt.
5 stunts.
and
Yes.
5 stunts.
Let me see.
You know what? Let me roll a contested roll here and see how that goes.
Sway the crowd is a good one that I might do.
So you ultimately failed.
Okay.
Unfortunately, due to your fatigue, you got a bit less than the other thing. But
Can
you
I
can
try to do one of my rolls and try on that 4 and see if I can get something better than that?
It won't matter. I
Okay.
think.
That's fair.
But you can use those stunt points any way you want.
Yes, I think I'm gonna use stunned silence. You are so impressive that all those who witnessed your display are not able to speak for at least a full round.
Oh, love it.
Oh,
So this
dear.
doesn't
Shit.
necessarily apply to psychic whispers. I'm gonna let it apply to psychic whispers.
Hell
anyway.
yeah, it does.
So,
Yeah. So what happens? How does that
Ooh.
manifest?
I literally just talk over it by doing a very bad bedtime story to the point where they're like, "What the fuck is she doing?" and gets
You s-
quiet.
You see, like the various flaming eyes in the background, all one by one, just cock their heads. And Tayrix says, "What are you doing?"
I
What is
am Shh. We're not at the best part. And you know what Cinderella said to her stepsisters? She told them that you fucking suck and I'm going to the ball anyway. So she punched them in the face and then she took their dress and went down to the party.
Tayrix steps back, and when that happens, you can feel the sort of pervading influence in your mind recede completely.
I just pat Rami on the arm, just like,
That's
Go
the
ahead.
quote of the day.
We have not seen anybody here for centuries.
We should make it that way. Lovely meeting you. And then I just turned away.
But we have a message for the Empress. We are declaring our independence. We do not serve her. We only serve ourselves.
I don't know who this empress is, but I will do my best to get that for you. Oh,
You
my-
will bring this message to this Empress.
Sure. All right. 100%. Whatever you say, love. I leave. I'm just...
So you start kind of making your way out.
What? Wait.
are they just gonna let us leave? Like, what?
Like, you can see there's a lot of eyes on Rami right now, who is not exactly moving gracefully or quickly, so she's just like, just sort of getting
she's
out of
just
there.
so loudly yelling about the Cinderella. Like,
Did we observe
I-
her leaving at all? Like, did she step past the line that is within the?
Yeah, did she
Yes,
step
yeah,
outside
Rami is
of the
currently
queue?
just going around the edge.
No,
I
not
think
Rami.
Oh, sorry.
He's, T-Rex.
Oh, you did not notice this creature go out. It kind of, they moved towards you a little bit,
Mhm.
and their light kind of shone on them a bit more, but you didn't see them go outside this place, no.
Okay. Cool.
I follow Rami because there's nothing that I can do.
Yeah, this seems like a lot. So we're gonna regroup and come back to this later.
Just noping
Suna-
out of here.
Suna whispers to you, Mike, and she's like, Cap, what's the play here with these, are these shadow demon things? What do we do?
I don't know who they are.
Can you hit them with your hammer or something?
Oh, seeing everyone else leave, considering that everyone else is going and we're outnumbered, the best method is tactical retreat.
Okay, you will start running for your lives, and that's when, like a murder of crows, there is an explosion of darkness that exits this area, and these creatures that you can now see in the full daylight around you just start hovering up. Some of them climbing, some of them sliming their ways around.
No.
And looking at you, and you can see that these creatures share similar attributes to Tayrix, but they're all very different profiles, very different silhouettes. Some of them have multiple arms, very sharp, protruding claws, bits of what you assume is bone sticking out here and there. Some of them have like pieces of natural-looking armor. Others have these tattered cloaks and vestments covered in grime, and they all have these glowing eyes. Some of them one eye, some of them five, some of them two, and they're all looking very intently at what you're doing. And Tayrix says, "Where are you going?
To tell the Empress like you asked.
We need to discuss other matters first."
Okay, you know what? Okay, that's fine. We can talk. Talking is
Okay,
fine.
we can talk. We can talk.
Back inside.
Inside?
Us? We were never. We were
I
never.
think it's okay over here. I like where it currently
There's
am.
some
Is it nice
horrible creature with three eyes under a hood that just is next to Rami and goes,
Inside. We can go inside.
Sounds great.
It sounds cool.
At this point, seeing them fully, anybody who wants to can make a sorceress lore test or an arcana lore test.
Make
You
a
know,
I'm from
That's both
Kern check.
intelligence, right?
Kern is not going to help you here.
Okay, just checking.
That's a 9.
Oh,
But
will
for
it? No,
some
I
points-
lie. Rami, I lied.
Okay.
Being from Kern will help you. So you can make a cultural law test, actually.
Thanks.
You know-
My old favorite. I thought that was gonna be useless, and it's literally I use it all the time.
So what did everybody get here? Da-da-da.
I got a 14.
Blue, you have no idea what's going on. Val
I don't fucking.
No,
know.
I got a 9
got a 9. No
with
idea what's
the
going on.
minuses and everything. You
Rami
know,
has no idea what's going on.
I was joking about bringing Elzar, but I'm kind
I
like
wish you brought Elzar.
at this point I'm just kind of like it might have been useful.
We might have worked here.
Might have been the most opportune moment.
So you are, let's say, ushered back inside. It is very dark, so anybody here who isn't Micah is actually struggling to see, and they're
Can I use
ushering
my
you
stun
further and
points?
further. Oh yes, please.
I
Yeah,
would
I'm
just-
going to use Passionate Inspiration, gain a +1 bonus to your next action with a further +1 for every additional 2 spent. So I only get a +1, but that'll help with like
Help offset the horrible penalties you're
the
suffering
horrible
from right now.
penalties.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wait, so the 14 didn't do anything?
The 14, was that for you, Micah?
Yeah, for sorcery lore.
Oh, for sorcery law. Okay, yes, a 14 does do something. Micah, again, referring to those many, many books on sorcery that you read, to sort of brush up on what modern surface dwellers are up to. You get the feeling that these are a series of creatures that you've heard about. They come in very, very. You remember when you were reading about it, it was hard to pin down because it said these things come in various shapes and sizes. But you think what you are standing before are shadow fiends, which are effectively. They are what sorcerers bind to their will to carry out some goal. And with a 14, you also know that each shadow fiend, allegiance is the wrong word, has some sort of affinity with the exarch they originate from.
Okay, got it. And probably it's
That's-
the Thorn Empress, Empress of Thorns, probably, considering they're just like, we're not going to serve her. Okay.
So as we're being, herded in, can I just like in general ask these things like can I make a little light, just so we can see? I'm just gonna do it if you don't object. So I cast light.
It starts out very small, then grows and grows and gets bigger. You illuminate these fiends, seeing once again some of their twisted biology and corrupted forms, but none of them seem to object. And you can see now that as you're going further into this place and there's now light everywhere, there are several columns holding up the entire roof of this place. There are some doorways. There's a sort of a balcony area as well. And there is a sort of mural that has various very shiny stones sticking out of it, seemingly at random, but there's also some carvings intertwining all of that as well. And there's a small kind of basin just below this wall, and this is where you are halted.
Oh no.
And once again, Tagric
Not
speaks
good.
and says, "We have been starved for quite some time. So, since there is nothing here to satiate our needs, we find ourselves with no choice but to offer our services for a very fair price."
What?
What? I don't think I think we're okay currently, but we'll keep that in mind. Unfortunately,
Holy
we will have
Ooh.
to.
I'd say.
So one of the creatures lays a hand next to you, Rami, and leans very close and says, we have not seen any living thing for so long, nor have we felt the touch of greed for so long.
Oh, really? Well,
We need gold.
you must
lots of gold. And we are willing to extend any service you might have.
So, unfortunately, we are not capable of making that decision just ourselves. We have to talk with the rest of the committee back where we're from. So, if you give us some time, we can discuss and negotiate your offer with them and give you back an explanation and an answer afterwards. While I'm saying this, I'm like looking at Blue, like, and whispering, one moment, Blue, fucking call her card for help now. And as I was saying, if you would like.
Make a persuasion check, Rami.
Okay. This is a bad day. I have a -4.
Oh boy.
Here.
I gotta put mountains in front of every obstacle from now on.
19
Okay, that's not bad.
-4.
15 still very good.
15
Yeah,
15's
that's good. That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
T-Rex turns to you when you're saying all this and says, "There are more of you.
There
This
are more
is
people
very
indeed.
good.
But
Then,
again,
this is what you will do. Bring this offer that we have to them. Inform these people
yes,
that we are ready for hire
of course. So we
We
have to
will
leave
give
to
our
do that, though,
services
unfortunately.
to
So
the
again,
highest bidder."
well, we'll do all of that. It was so wonderful meeting you. We should go and tell them right now. I try to leave again.
You kind of bump into one of these creatures that has this kind of insectoid
Oh.
pincers kind of- what are the rest of you doing?
I feel like Blue's getting kind of flustered and getting like he gets the sense that he should call someone. Like he already
Like
thought
a
that, and then
Anyone.
Grammy said that, and then he was like, "Oh, let me call someone," and then like 3 people popped into his mind at once, and he's like,
Analysis paralysis.
"Yeah, so he calls Rickard's the closest, I suppose."
Mhm.
Okay,
I mean, they're not going to be able to get here in time, but yeah.
so you find a way to cash in your Ricard token, even though he's. While
Ricard's our
Blue,
favorite.
so Blue is currently having a conversation with Ricard. During that time, I think Suna is being very quiet and hiding directly behind you, Micah, at this time. And Micah, you're the most imposing person here, so one of the shadowy creatures is going to go close to you, Val, and they're going to say, "Have you seen our brethren? It has been so very long since we parted way."
When you say your brethren, what do you mean?
They all kind of like look a little bit perturbed, somewhat, and T-Rex turns to you and says, "We are born from the will of my tax. We were not alone, though. We were bound by one who is no longer among us. In addition, they brought those who serve the wrathful one. We did not get on."
So you and the wrathful ones split ways?
The creatures of Tyrexus have not been here for some time. I admit to some curiosity about where they ended up.
I would have to say that I don't know.
Interesting. As long as they're away from us, then that is fine. I doubt they took our sacred duty seriously anyway.
Sacred duty?
Yeah, that's
We
interesting.
were to guard the machines. But we have been here for too long.
What machines?
We do not know. This was our task, and then our binders perished. And now we see no reason to keep watch.
don't you just do what you want then?
We wish only to return to my tax, but to return without anything proving our worth. We will be cast into oblivion, our identities eradicated.
Yeah, I can understand that. Oof, that's
We
a
would
tough-
rather
can?
return laden with riches so we might continue our existence.
So you need gold to prove yourself to. Do you know if this person's still alive? Because a lot of people you're talking about seem kind of from a while back.
Dead.
Yes.
Val, you would know that if they speak the word Mitax, that is one of the Exarchs.
Ah.
Yeah.
And they, unlike the Emperors, they are not dead.
Okay, good.
Do all of the Exarchs make things like you?
We were not made by Mitax. We simply existed in a space that was his territory, and then we were pulled and dragged, kicking and screaming, to be bound in the service of another.
That's terrible. I'm so sorry that happened for you. I feel for you, I do. And when we get back, I will make sure to pass on all this information you have. But unfortunately, if we stay here too long, we won't be able to make it back faster. And it'll soon be nighttime, and then we'll have to wait till the morning. And then, oh, no one's useful in the morning. You know how everyone is. Oh, they always need a coffee, and they can't wake up sleep. So nothing will end up getting done. If we leave now, we might be able to make it before everyone goes to sleep and start the conversation, which is why we should leave. Lovely talking to you. So nice meeting you.
This one siphons the rest of you of your words.
This
It
one
is
likes
impressive.
words. They're fun to say.
Blue, your conversation with Ricard, while all that just happened, this is the conversation you have. Ah, Blue, greetings.
There's a lot going on right now.
One
So
could argue
psychic
there's always
contact,
a
they
lot
can
of
certainly
things.
hear you, right? Like people around you hear you speaking out loud, or is it psychic?
Psychic contact. I played it up for laughs with Ricard, but for the most part, you can speak completely silently with somebody else.
Okay, that's what I thought. I'm just making
Ricard
sure.
simply chose not to because he
Um,
lacks certain filters.
So yeah, there's an issue. We came up to the mountain, and there seems to be some shadow
You-
fiendish types here.
When you say shadow fiends, do you mean creatures born from the shadow?
If I could show you, then I think you'd get it. But yeah, pretty much. They're wispy shadow people with like armor. And,
Well, I would
they're kind
highly
of
recommend.
keeping us here.
I would highly recommend not engaging at all, and perhaps quietly making your way out. Don't speak to them. Don't make contact with them.
We have we've moved quite past that. Rami is, rammying right now, trying to get us out of here. But
Fascinating. I see. Blue,
yes,
I'm uncertain how much longer you are going to survive.
me either. Right? That's okay. Any other words of precise wisdom that you could offer? Maybe some help you could give.
How many shadow fiends do you see?
So many.
Can you ask how to beat them?
20?
Ricard says, "Then it is remarkable that you're not already dead. How fascinating."
You're not helping.
Oh, I cut off contact immediately.
Oh, he's gone.
Ricard.
That's when Rami is finishing her speech.
Go then, so that way we don't
Realizing
have to wait till...
that I erred in that the fact that his country's okay with like studying these guys. I should not have told him about this.
Are these things in pain?
You can make an empathy test if you would like,
Are
with
these
your
things
fatigue bonuses.
immortal?
Unknown, but they've claimed to be around for centuries.
11 with 5 stunt points. So let's see what I can do here.
Okay.
So scary.
In your professional healer's opinion, Val, there is nothing that immediately strikes you as, trauma. However, if there is something more intense lying underneath, you would probably need more time to really get a firm assurance of that.
I'm just like, okay, so they don't want to be here. They didn't want to be really created in the first place. I'm gonna turn to them and just be like, so all you really want is just to go home.
We want to return whole. It is easy to return in pieces.
Okay. And you didn't want to be here in the first place, is what I'm kind of getting from what you've told us so far.
Bound to be here.
Okay.
Because of the machines.
We had to guard the machines, yes.
So
The
what if
soul siphons.
the soul?
Oh,
The
that's
soul
lovely, lovely name there.
Could we
Oh,
take a look at these machines and
Why do
see,
we need
like,
to take
you
a look
know,
at these machines?
if we could help you out this way, like if these need to stay here, if we can get them out of your way.
We
That might
care nothing for the machines. They are not ours. They were a duty given to us. If you have an interest in them, then cast your eyes to the wall. It tells us their condition. Otherwise, we were not told much else.
oh,
Look at the
Okay.
Always watch the trident, we were told.
right. Always watch the tridents and the wall. I look at the wall. What does it
Look at the wall. Bunch
Yeah.
of crystals, bunch of carvings. It does not immediately make a whole lot of sense to you. Anybody who wants to can make an arcane lore test.
How, does
Sure.
it change the wall if there's a problem? What does it look like?
It doesn't appear to be doing anything. And then you see there's a moment where just blink, one of the crystals just lights up and then dims and then lights up again and stays lit. And all the crystals around here are
Ah,
have a very dim light to them. Otherwise, yeah, not much
Is-
else.
each crystal tied to a separate machine?
You aren't sure.
I ask them.
Oh, sorry. Real quick, what are these? We got Blue did a 15 for an arcane lore test.
Yes.
Blue, you recognize Shas crystals when you see them. And Shas crystals are used for various arcane things. In the past, they were used for a lot of shady things, especially with the
Yeah.
sorcerers around. They typically allowed Arcana to do unusual stuff. With your, 14 total, you know
He got
that,
a 15. I got a 14. Sorry.
but I think a -1 from his fatigue.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Never mind. He's good.
Has it been 5 minutes yet? Does this count as like not?
You're not really restful right now. Your
Yeah,
hearts aren't really.
This is intense. Okay.
But you can see, like, looking at this wall, Blue, it is stuff that is beyond you, but it is not necessarily something you can't figure out given time and research.
This seems like a lot. I'm gonna.
And
contact
Suna,
them.
the companion you decide to bring with you, kind of looks at the wall and goes, "Wait, Cap, can we just give him some of those crystals and just, like, they look expensive.
They're already theirs.
Right.
They're using it.
Why don't they take those then?"
Because you can't pay off your duty with your duty. You can't just be like, oh, I'm guarding this gold, better bring it to them. You have to bring something else of equal value. They already own whoever it is already owns whatever this is.
Okay.
It could also be that they're bound to act upon like a
You
exchange.
see another flash from the crystals.
The crystals are flashing.
Yeah. That's,
Every now and then, one of them flashes.
Is there any writing or anything?
There's no writing, no. There's engravings, sort of pictography. Well, not even pictography. It's like No, can't say that. Never mind.
Wait,
God,
Is it-
Thomas.
So when you say
Sorry.
pictography, do you mean like hieroglyphics, or do you mean
It's,
like
there are definitely symbols, and there are somewhat consistent ones that you see, but they do not. It's like cuneiform a little bit.
huh?
I guess
So
I,
very common shapes used in various
Okay.
configurations over and over again.
I still want to
um,
know if like each one is connected to a machine or if like every part of it is a language they're listening to. So I'm gonna ask them that.
Yeah, T-Rex kind of gets uncomfortably close to you, and some of her smoke is just kind of blowing into your face, Rami. And she says, "This wall informs us the health of the machines. As you can see, it is fine, as it has been for centuries."
See, that's the thing. I don't know how to read it. Does this look different from when it's not fine?
As long as they are lit, it means that the soul siphon is functioning.
What?
And every time they flash, it means a new soul has been gathered.
Oh, it's eating souls.
What is
Lo-
this is for? Why is it eating souls?
We do not know. The machines are not here. We do not know where they lie, but nor do we care. This was our duty. We were to watch the Trident for invaders and keep watch of the machine's health. But no longer. No longer. We only seek wealth, so that we might return to whence we came.
Of course, and we're so happy to help you with that. But we do have to get going to help you with that.
Yeah.
So,
Uh.
unless you have anything else to say, pleasure making your acquaintance. Again, I'm Rabbi Lawfred. These are my friends. So wonderful to meet you. This was a pure joy. I can't believe it.
T-Rex comes face to face with you, Rami, very, very close, and says, "You will inform others of the services we offer."
Yes, that's what I'm going to do.
Deception
darling.
test.
Is it a deception though? Because I'm at least telling Bates about this. So
Oh,
I'm
no.
informing others.
Oh no.
Is it fair to say you're being misleading somewhat?
No, all they wanted me to do was inform. They didn't say for me to argue a negotiation for them. That's completely different. I am giving them what they asked.
Then roll persuasion.
Okay. Wait, no, why did I argue against this? I like deception better.
I was gonna say,
Wait, no, wait! It is a lie! It is a lie!
Nevi.
It's a lie!
Oh, goodness.
Oh no.
Fuck. Shit, okay, let me
Oh,
reroll that
no.
one. Let me reroll
Okay.
that one.
Oh,
I
shouldn't.
Why did I do that?
I'm
Okay,
not
that's
sure.
better.
Say that's much
That's
better.
not
much
plus 4,
better.
so that's
Still minus
18
4.
minus 4, so 14.
Wait, it's not 18,
Um,
I got a 14. Oh,
You have a plus
Yeah,
5.
new 18, then minus
Yes,
the.
5, 10,
all
15,
things.
16, 17, 18.
oh, I
Math
haven't
is
been adding
hard,
the.
Nevi.
It says total 14 though. I've been just checking the total. Have I been reading it?
No, the total is 14.
Or-
Then you
yes.
re-rolled, which made it an 18, but we have
Oh,
your
right.
15 makes it a 14 again.
Oh, I forgot I rerolled. I am not okay. These kids are scary.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's a very
There's
intense
a lot
moment.
going on.
So yeah, T-Rex kind of looks deep in your eyes, and you can see her one glowing eye just kind of staring at you. And it has no pupil, it has no eye movement that you are so trained to look out for. It is just this solid orb of light and flame. And then, after some very uncomfortable moments where you're not entirely sure if she's just going to eat your entire face, she leans back. And there's this slow, dull burst of those whispers that return to your minds again. Very low and quiet this time. And
Does it feel like that's like penetrating our psychic shield,
um,
or is it a different thing?
it doesn't really follow those mechanics.
Okay.
But yeah, T-Rex steps backwards and says, "Very well. We will see you again."
Of course. And I give a bow with a flourish. And then I fucking leave!
Yeah, I book
Rami's
it
out.
with her.
We leave.
Val's out.
Woo.
Blue's
That was
out.
a whole lot.
I am dragging Suna and Micah with me to the best of my ability.
Out and out. Do you go, Micah?
Oh yeah, sorry. I guess like
Okay.
whenever Rami was talking, could I have like gotten some stone and kind of copied the symbols on the wall a bit?
Oh,
Ooh,
interesting.
That is so
Um,
smart.
It is very fair to say you can quickly carve anything because it is the method of your people. Do you typically carry slates with you?
Absolutely. They're
I
they're like notebooks.
I buy it. That's yeah. So you quickly pull out a small slab, and then you kind of take out an engraving tool and quickly sort of. So I think it's. I don't know if it's totally fair to say you get the entire thing very quickly, but if you want to say to your friends, "Hey, I'm in the middle of,"
Oh, yeah, do you want me to vamp for you? Do you want me to buy you time?
Oh sure, just like yeah, she's just like.
I think, Rami, on your way out, you notice that, you're seeing people come with you, but Micah isn't there. And Suna and Micah are just kind of standing here, and Suna's like,
I head back in, and
"Should
I'm
we go,
like,
Cam?"
you know, actually, I was curious about why you decided on the name you decided for yourself, and I'm just gonna small talk. I'm gonna give Micah time to leave.
Oh sorry, right. Shove this
Oh,
slate
you
to
know
the bed.
what? Actually, that's a silly question. Goodbye.
Oh boy.
So much happening
And
now.
all of you immediately leave, and quickly struggle over Micah's sort of stony protrusions that she created for you to climb here. You climb around the other side, and you see that there is just. Hold on 1 sec. I'm gonna make a quick roll here.
Yeah,
Oh,
who
wait, air
prevailed in
elemental.
this chicken fight?
You see a lone mist elemental standing, just kind of floating.
Oh my
Success!
god.
Oh, dear. Thank
Your
you.
baby boy did it.
You did it. I'm very proud. I can't really dismiss you. You're just here now. You can follow us if you'd like. I'm not sure if you can understand me, and I'll continue to fly away because I really want to leave.
It
Yeah.
floats closer to you, and what counts for its arms just sort of wrap around itself, and it does a bow, and then turns into a puddle.
Okay, cool. Bye. And I continue on. While walking, I'll probably call Raythea.
Okay.
Yeah.
Rutheria?
And I just
Your
Rutheria,
unicorn?
I said that wrong. Rutheria.
It's alright. Unicorn names are tough.
Phonetics, they're tough. But yeah, I'm gonna call her. 'cause
Okay.
There's a lot going on.
All right, you're quickly responded to. You see a beautiful, elegant unicorn appear as a ghostly image as you're flying as well. So she
Yeah.
probably just sees you just doing this.
Sick for sore eyes.
And she says, "Blue, greetings. What can I do for you?"
A lot has happened in the past, like 10 or so minutes.
Take your
Uh,
time. Do not
so-
strain yourself.
There's about how far away are we from Miniry?
Very close.
Very
It's
close,
a
like-
peak that basically overlooks Miniry. It's the closest one of the ice-bounded mountains, and also the last in the long line of them as well.
Okay, so the peak near Miniry, there's kind of a peak that I just said that. Oh dear. Okay, so there's
It's
about,
all
like,
right.
20 or so shadow fiends just sitting inside of a cave right now. Me and my friends have, escaped. But
Really?
there's-
I am relieved to hear this. This is a problem. Is this a
Yeah.
place that the Two Legs recently uncovered?
it seems as if we were the most recent out of centuries of being left alone. We came up here because we noticed that there were some strange clouds. We thought it was Vada and sort of ritual thing, and thought it was worth investigating just to make sure it wasn't anything threatening to the village, which it most certainly is. So,
Blue, you have done very well. These bastions of shadow fiends are not entirely unheard of. Did they seem hostile? Were you able to determine their motives?
Well, it seems as if they would like to gather wealth so that they can return to the Exarch of Greed. And they seem to have been there because the Empress of Thorns had charged them with watching a machine that they were using to collect souls. So that's
Wait, what do you mean by that?
there was a machine that was charged by the name of that crystal again, please.
Shas.
Shast crystals, and it was described as a soul siphon.
I have never heard of anything like this before, Blue.
Yes, it was very concerning when I first heard it.
You must find out what this soul siphon is. If it is truly keeping souls from returning to the wheel, then we have to destroy these machines.
Okay, I can try. Would you like me to ask the two legs about this and like Miniry, or
This is not a Raiden issue or a two-leg issue. This is something that threatens all of life.
right? Okay, I will talk to them and we will investigate.
As for the Shadow Fiends, are they
Hostile?
advancing? Are they...
They seem content with staying where they are right now.
You must keep a very close eye on them, Blue. Typically, the two legs like to send their people to deal with these things, but at the number you described, they will have to send a small army.
Yeah, there was a lot of them.
Maybe we should have brought the garrison.
Oh, they would have died so quickly.
Can you
dear.
imagine? Oh my god.
Oh god.
Oh
Um,
god.
Okay. I will.
I will make inquiries and try and send you aid as soon as I can, Blue. You will not be alone in this.
Thank you. That is good to hear. Yeah. Okay, I should have called you first.
Who did you call before me?
I called Ricard. Honestly, a misjudgment on my part.
He sounds very fun.
No.
Probably very likable.
Yes. He's all right.
Was there anything else?
No. Just I'll remain in touch.
Contact me immediately if these fiends start to make any kind of advance.
Absolutely. I surely will. And I think I don't feel right hanging up on her. So
An awkward moment. Awkward
Wait for
moment.
her to hang up on
And
me.
then
There we go. Okay.
And with that unicorn dissipating, its psychic projection becoming one with the air around you, I think that is a good time to end tonight's session.
Dun, dun, dun. Oh dear.
That was another tale from Miniry Village. Thanks everybody for joining us. I hope you had a good time. We will be here same time next week to follow up on all that. So don't miss it.
I thought
we're
bandits were our
fine, by
biggest
the way.
problem.
Add it to the list.
Yeah. There's just so much.
That just totally changed the context of all of our other problems.
That escalated very quickly.
Real quick, I think Chromatic Chimera is currently doing charity work for Bail Project. So hey,
Yes.
support them, support a good cause. Our music tonight is done by Windswept. Very amazing artist, beautiful music. It's spelled Windswept. They got all their stuff on YouTube. Check it out. It's amazing. Our artist is
Hansel Eldor at Hansel
Hansel
Eldor
Eldor.
on Twitter, or
Twitter.
Dork Eggs Doodle at Tumblr. And yes, I can't say Twitter apparently.
Please check them out. The art that they've made for us is absolutely incredible, and we love
They're
it so much.
good.
And unless there's anything else anybody wants to plug,
I'm going to be in the Sleepaway Pride one-shot that's happening sometime in June. I don't know the date. It's a Friday. It's
Nice.
a Friday. But yeah. So check that out if you want to see me being someone who isn't Rami.
Hell yes. Anything else?
Nope.
I will just keep plugging the same thing that I have plugged for the past 2 weeks. Support your local libraries. We're in full summer reading mode. There's a lot of digital content out there. You can get awesome prizes, so sign up at your local library branch. And yeah, respect the staff, respect the institution, respect your fellow patrons. Stay safe.
Hell yeah.
Yes.
And with that, we're gonna say good night, or for me, good night. For the rest of you, good afternoon.
Good morning.
afternoon.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
What time is it? Oh, it's 1:40 afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon or night.
Take care,
Good
everybody. Until
afternoon.
next time. Bye.